That emote is so cute. Who says that? Oh, the little wave is cute. Or big wave, I guess, because it's gigentified. I like the gigantifying emote thing. I like that. When they first dropped it, I wasn't sure if I would like it. I thought it would be annoying. But now I really like it. Yeah, the modifiers, too. They do work in the ecosystem. They're simple. Yeah, there's Kaka, man. I drew that. I made that emote, guys. I drew Kaka. He looks so good. Doesn't show up in Chatterino. You said most streamers don't see it because of that. I don't use Chatterino, and actually I use it as a viewer, but I don't use it as a streamer. I have it in case I need it, but for the most part, I think the existing tools work very well. Is this the world famous Giga from the Twitch channel streaming in Clancy? Yeah. How about that? Yep. Yep. You want Clancy's 2.0 model? He did suggest that we could collab. So I would be so down. Invite him to Zort. We'll just do all the dulls. We'll do Wordle. We'll do Sinatu Nerdle. We'll do Worldle, Global, Costcodal, daily stream. Yeah. Dan with the dulls. Actually, I think we could have a great time. We could do a New York Times crossword puzzle. You said IDK, how I feel about the whole patch notes. I think a lot of people were being very negative, and I actually feel very positively about a lot of those things, and I'm going to explain why, but I think my perspective is needed there. I think a lot of viewers and some other streamers, VTubers especially, you'll see some complain very loudly about certain things. I think they are straight up wrong about a lot of it, and I'll tell you why. I don't think they're wrong because they're stupid. I think they're wrong because they're lacking some kind of context or perspective that would make them think otherwise. You know? You think the things they said made a lot of sense? I think so too, and I think they were just speaking very succinctly and not going into a high level of detail because we didn't have the time for that. I only really got like 2 major questions in, and then we just kind of tangentialized off of those. You know, it wasn't a 5-hour podcast where we could go over all these little things. So they're trying to, yeah, it's very much trying to put straight thing, and I understand that as a broadcaster, totally get it. So I'm not unhappy with any of the answers. I'll go over some stuff. I think actually what they said makes a lot of sense, and I'll try to offer a bit more detail. Just go into it a little more. You thought the VR chat point was interesting. So the VR chat point he made actually was something, sorry, I'm like, oh, I can be on the screen now. That's something that I already knew. And I'm always surprised when people don't know that. But then I see how many people act like they've never heard that before, and I go, okay, I'm no longer surprised. I guess, like, I guess this is why people have these reactions. They don't know, right? So I think a lot of the stuff that he said is stuff that I've said before as well. And it's just for me validating to hear him say some of these things, because I've been saying it, but I don't have confirmation as someone who doesn't have access to all their data, blah, 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 right? But just seeing them say some of those things, I'm like, okay, there we go. And yeah, I kind of summed it up at one point where I said, it's about managing expectations is what a lot of this is. And I think a lot of people on the platform, viewers and streamers, like don't get that and why that's so important and what that entails. Because the people that do that kind of work in corporate environments to make sure expectations are managed are always disparaged by workers and consumers, the end users of their products or services, always. because people don't get why those restrictions are there. And it's hard to know why those restrictions are there unless you're literally in one of those positions where you do that job, where that person speaks very in depth about it and gives examples. Because from your perspective as a consumer, or the streamers who are like, you know, not really thinking about like stuff in a meta way, they're not going to see it, right? So yeah, no, I actually think a lot of it makes sense. So I can go into it a bit more. What were some points that you guys didn't get, so I could maybe like expand on that? Was there anything where you're like, I didn't feel good about this part, and then I can maybe, yeah, give more context? I think we can start there for those that watched, and for anyone who didn't watch it, I'll recap as people mention stuff. I can also just look at what some people were saying in the Discord while we were on. Some of the chatters. Yeah, I mean, when you're in the general Twitch space, you get a lot of chatters that don't get a lot of these things. And you also, the thing is, a stream like that is a place where complainers will show up. People who complain just to complain, people who don't care about the context and they just want to get their thing out of themselves, those people will show up. So don't take that chat as a representation of the wider community. It's the loudest people. It's two camps of people show up to those. One, the complainers, and then two, the people who really support Twitch and want to see them do well. It's like the two sides of it, and both the loudest people for both of those, right? You saw, is this AI? Yeah, there's people always ask that because they don't understand. Yeah, they just don't know how it works, or they're trying to disparage it, but they don't know how, and that's all they could think to say. You know. You said the category bit was a bit vague, as I understood the mature channel warning would be what already does that. So, okay. It doesn't do that. It doesn't function the way you think it does. So if I go to my content classification and I try to tick off different boxes to label my channel as different things right now, or as what I'm doing right now are those things, there are a couple check marks that I could add here. So one potential classification. This is a content label. One of them is politics and sensitive social issues. Okay, so if I click that off because I'm talking about those things, it gets flagged for that. Certain ads might not show because certain advertisers don't want to deal with that. Certain people might filter that content out. The second one is drugs, intoxication, or excessive tobacco use. So glorification of these things, showing me using some things legally, or discussing illegal stuff relating to that. That can be checked off. Another one is gambling, which is participating in any type of gambling or betting or anything that involves exchange of real money. So if it's not real money, no one cares about that because it's just gameplay at that point with a currency. But if it's real money, then there's a gambling thing I could check off. There's mature rated game, which I cannot check that off myself. The game category already does that. So if it's not suitable for a younger audience and I'm in that game category, that will get checked off and applied to my channel. One that I always have ticked on, significant profanity or vulgarity. I don't really go too crazy with this, but sometimes I do here and there. So I just always leave it on. Obscenities, profanities, vulgarities, especially as a regular part of speech is how they how they say that. They call it prolonged and repeated use. Mine is more like semi-frequent use, but I do that sometimes. So, you know, I tick that on. And there's two more. There's violent and graphic depictions. So simulations or depictions of realistic violence or gore, extreme injury. I know some artists that draw things that have more like blood in them and gore or whatever. They'll tick that on while they're doing certain pieces because that is, you know, people should be able to expect it. You don't think I need it? I don't think so either. And then the last one is sexual themes. So content that focuses on sexualized physical attributes and activities, sexual topics, or experiences. Okay, so that exists in content labeling. Okay, those are called labels when you label it for one of those things. Now, on top of that, you can label your stream, but also you stream in a category, right? And the way Twitch works, from what I understand, is the reason why labeling something as sexual themes doesn't completely absolve you of all their TOS is because number one, the TOS is the expectation of what kind of stuff exists on the platform, period, regardless of labeling. Number two, when I go into a category, I am showing up in that category. If I'm playing Minecraft and there are a lot of 14-year-olds on the platform looking for Minecraft streamers, I am showing up in that category. Plain and simple. So even if I label things certain ways, unless a user has specifically tried to filter that out for some reason, I will still show up in that category. And that is why the labels are not a perfect solution to that sort of thing, because that's just the way Twitch works right now. Now, maybe they could change things, but realistically, it's not going to happen, I don't think. And even if someone's not just scrolling down in the category, if they just search for the game, sometimes it's just through normal recommendations, people will still find you. It basically makes it so that certain crowds that might lean younger are still going to find those things because they don't 100% filter them out entirely based off of those labels for most people. So they would have to revamp how a lot of stuff works to do that. And I did bring up labels when we talked about that question. I did say, what about labels? Because people always ask that. What about? Yeah, as a dev, it seems like a subtle change that would be a nightmare to change. Yeah, it seems on paper very easy and subtle to change that, but it is, I trust and believe it's a lot more difficult to change that. And the thing is, let's say I do make a certain label to label a stream a certain way, and it doesn't show up in search results anymore. It doesn't show up in that category that you're in anymore, right? You don't show up in category results. You've just completely destroyed someone's discoverability, because that is how Twitch recommends channels to people. You've just gotten rid of that. So what's the point of anyone streaming on the platform with those types of content if the platform wouldn't be able to recommend them to new people, right? That sucks. That sucks. Now, the other thing is, you don't go to Twitch and say, I am 15 years old when you check off a thing and like, here's my date of birth. And then it remembers that. And then when there's an 18+ channel, it locks you out of it. It doesn't do that. It just gives you a warning and you choose yes or no of, am I over 18? Right? So I don't think they have anything in place currently where they'd be able to do that, to lock it out, right? Oh, Twitch, thank you for the raid. Welcome on in. Hello. We were just going over everything. We were just starting to talk about stuff and things that we talked about earlier. And I figured I could give more depth, more clarity on any other questions that didn't get gotten to. I was letting people know a lot of the answers are what they are because we don't have a million years to sit on patch notes and talk about it. It is not a 5-hour podcast, you know? So I'm just here to go through anything else that people wanted to know. Any of that. Yeah, welcome, John, Twitch. Welcome. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching if you watched earlier, whether you knew me or not, or you knew anything that was going on or not. Appreciate that. I always forget that there's a Dan Clancy emote. We have the Dan emote here. It's an honor to be Dan's best friend. Yeah, we're best friends now. I'll see if I could figure out an activity to do. I was just saying it'd be fun to do straight up a New York Times crossword puzzle. Something I used to do a lot of on the weekends is I would open things like Wordle, that kind of stuff, crossword puzzles, and we just go through them. I haven't done that in a hot minute, but I thought that'd be nice. You know, I will say, let me start off by saying, when I was watching, so I was in the call watching everything that was occurring on the screen, hearing everyone in real time before they brought me into the call. I was there. I was just watching the stream, and I was kind of laughing. Like, I just want to share one thought. I was kind of laughing when I saw the showcase. Right, they showed a trailer showcase sort of thing of a bunch of VTubers, and clips of them, etc. And we're like, these are our VTubers, and I laughed so hard because like, I don't do any of that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm super unique for that. It's just, it reminded me like that is what people think VTubers are, because some of the biggest VTubers are very like loud, bombastic people. A lot of clips are them like reacting hugely to something, right? But there are a lot like myself and everyone else that are actually really calm. And as we say here, I'm just a chill guy. So I'm just hanging out. I thought it was really funny. Because I was looking at like the clips and I was like, I don't think I have any clips like that really. We sit here and talk about infrastructure and then we play an indie game, So it was just funny. So, or being lewd. Some of them, I know most of them aren't though. That's the thing, right? People will say that all the time. They'll be like, oh, I heard VTubers are like this, but they're kind of like, by count of people, they're kind of not. But some of the most popular are. So I get it, right? The representation is there for sure. Yeah, walkable city is my favorite topic. But if you wanted to ask any follow-up questions or get my thoughts on anything that was talked about, go right ahead. That's what the mainstream viewers like. And while some of us veterans like knowledge and chill vibes, I wouldn't like make it an us versus them thing. Just different people like different content, and that's fine. Because the thing is, people say loud equals funny like it's a bad thing, but people have always found that funny. So there's no problem. All right. If you like loud streamers because you think that's funny, then go watch them and that's fine. It can equal funny. There's some people who don't care either way, and there's some people who are like, I can't take this anymore, and they close the tab, and that's okay. You just watch whatever you like, man. That's it. That's it. Cabe, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Why are my alerts not showing on the scene? Let's go. Oh, I know why. It's still set up for the debut stream. Here, let's go here instead. Seems a little laggy because we have a video in the background. Here, I'll deactivate that and I'll go here. Ready? Boom. Wow. Okay, now we can have the alerts and things on. Ta-da. Ta-da. What are the rules in chat? My message was denied and I have no idea why. Oh, because you did at GEEGA, and I specifically told Nightbot to get rid of any message where someone tries to say, or actually Automod, where someone tries to at me, because I'm just going to read chat anyway. So you don't need to at me to highlight it. All of the questions are at me, you know what I mean? I did it because what I used to get, especially when I would stream in the Minecraft category, and I would have like a bunch of younger people come in. They would come in and they'd be like, at GEEGA, what do you think about this? At GEEGA, what do you think? And they would just at me constantly, and if I didn't answer their question, they'd do it 3 times in a row. So I just got rid of it with Automod. Yeah, they could just say my name. They could just be like, hey GEEGA, what do you think about this? Right? But they would at me so it would get highlighted red, you know? So that's why I did that. Fair enough. Can you see this question? Yes, I see all. All right, I have one version of chat scrolled up so I can go through questions. Yeah, one of you, okay, this is not a question, but a statement. You said sometimes with VTubers, they really aren't that lewd. It's just the occasional dirty joke gets clipped the most. That is so true. I don't like, I could be pretty profane sometimes, and I'll make gross jokes, but it's crude, not lewd, right? It's just something gross because it's funny. Poop humor funny. So I'll say something gross, and it'll be about some body part, let's say, and that will always get clipped. And someone who's not me will post on their clip channel on YouTube. But then that was one thing that I said, and everything else I said that stream had nothing to do with it. But that's the one thing that gets clipped and put on YouTube. What questions were you not allowed to ask? None. I was not told any restrictions. I was not told of anything that I couldn't say or ask, actually. Let me go down the list. Let me go down here. You said, I think the VR chat avatar versus VTuber explanation was fascinating. Makes a lot of sense that more than anything, VTubers are being treated just as regular streamers would. They don't get the exception, or to be the exception because they don't necessarily have a camera on, whereas VR chat is unpredictable. Other people are out of your control, so restricting the streamer for something they can't help would cause a lot of headache. Exactly. When you are a streamer and you open a game that you haven't played before, you don't know what's gonna be in it. So there are people who've played GTA. They brought GTA up as a great example. There are people that play for the first time, and then they go into an area and they realize they're in a strip club in the game, and there are characters that are topless entirely, and they're like, oh, and you can't do that on Twitch. Like, you can't just like show that yourself. But Twitch won't necessarily punish you if it's part of the game, and they know what's in these games. It's pre-labeled. So they're not gonna like slap you around for it, right? Because it's not you representing yourself that way. It's the thing that happened in the game. So VR chat is also given that same grace as a category, because anyone can run in with an avatar and they could have like no clothes on, they could go crazy with it. They could be making any motions in front of you, and like, what can you do about that, right? You could leave, but it will be shown at some point. And so some people will then use that as an excuse, I feel, to then show themselves with a lewd design of some sort. But it's allowed in the category. It's okay, because when people are going to that category, they know that's a possibility. The whole category is locked down in a way, right? Where we expect that. And I said it earlier, like it's just managing expectations, right? So you go into that category knowing that that's very likely to happen. You may see those things. Therefore, everyone's just kind of there and consenting and in agreement, right? Whereas, I do agree with what they said. I think some people don't like this answer, but I actually like this answer. That, you could be trying to classify yourself as, talking about sexual themes, whatever, but you shouldn't be then also in the Minecraft category and wearing like skimpy clothing, and then that skirts that line, or maybe is, not quite TOS friendly, and then being like, I don't get why I can't be playing this game that has a lot of kids watching it. It's very hard to restrict these things. We were just talking about it before the raid, but I said, labels, content labels, and being able to label yourself saying, yes, I do sexual content or references or whatever on my stream, putting that classification on yourself is great to have for advertisers and things, but it doesn't change the fact that you can still go into any category, right? You can go into any category still and exist there. So, that's something that they really don't have a way to do that. And I think for me, when it comes to the outfit stuff, I completely agree with what Dan said. I know some VTubers will still complain about this, but I don't think people should be trying to push it. If the lines are written a certain way so that they're a little purposefully vague to leave it open to interpretation by staff when they're moderating somebody on what you can and cannot wear, why are you trying to go up to the line? Why not be one step back from it? And it's things like they'll talk about what you can show with chest. For example, you can't show underboob. So people will have a spherical thing that they draw that looks like a boob, and they'll try to figure out what's the smallest amount of fabric I can put on it. Why are we trying to figure that out? Why don't we just go to a safe degree, right? Why push it? It's one of those things where I don't think there's anything wrong with that kind of content at all, but we know it can't exist on this platform. So why are we trying it on this platform? There are a lot of VTubers who do that kind of content, and what they do is they have a version of their model that is not TOS friendly for this site, but they use it on other sites. And then they have a version of their outfit that's totally fine, and they use it on here. And they just diversify where they post their content. And I think that's simple, and I think that's what should happen. I don't think anyone hates them for doing that content. I mean, some people might, but most sane people don't, right? The answer is clicks. Yeah, but generate clicks in other ways, like every other streamer has to also try. Yeah, Melody does. That's the other thing. Melody, great friend of mine. Wonderful, amazing person. Has versions of her models that work totally fine on this website. And then has toggles to completely take clothes off entirely and uses that on other websites where she's allowed to do that, right? And people here that watch her on Twitch, some of them don't even know that she does that kind of content, right? It's completely separate in a lot of ways. They're just like, oh, I just watch her play video games. I didn't even know that she does that stuff, right? She doesn't need to use Twitch as the way to generate people going over there, right? And so that's a big part of the point here, which is, it's on you to figure out how you want to go to other platforms and do those things. If it's not allowed here, it's not allowed here. We don't need to push the line. And I've said this to a lot of VTuber friends, and they'll still, most of them don't really skirt the line too heavily with their outfits, if I'm being honest. It just happens occasionally. And every time it does happen occasionally, and someone does actually have an issue where they get moderated for it, people freak out on the internet, and they're like, it happens to so many VTubers. It doesn't happen to that many. Most of them are fine. It's still, I will still agree, though, there are people in other categories, like IRL especially, and just chatting, that sometimes wear things where I'm like, how are they still here, Absolutely, I see that. But I don't think that's a thing specifically against VTubers, necessarily, if I'm being honest. Okay, hold on, I'm still scrolling. Still scrolling for questions. I have one version of chat that's scrolled up, so I don't miss anything. we go. What are you looking forward to this year and are trying to accomplish? I want to do more content that is with non-VTuber streamers, specifically in ways that puts VTubers into the IRL space. I don't want to say too much because I have cool plans for it, but I have some ideas for content around a lot of that. That would be more fun instead of just collabing with them online, you know? The way Dan and Mary explain things is very reasonable. Yeah, I think it is reasonable. You said, I think the main complaint is when they see IRL streamers basically naked, they wonder why can't VTubers do the same. Yeah. I didn't have the time, nor was I trying to push that point, like, live too much. It was more a time thing. That was going to be kind of the follow-up was, what about this? But I do think there are some points there that I understand, but that's the thing that I will ask them separately for sure. I'll probably use the creator club to go in depth on that, but, you know, more specific situations. The thing is, though, with a lot of those creators, they do get moderated sometimes. It's just not something that people notice until it happens to a VTuber, and then they pull up some image of someone else and go, but this is allowed. But I've seen everyone get moderated over these things, so I don't know. I think also a lot of it has to do with how much you're getting reported for it. And let's be honest, people love to go to VTubers' debuts of their outfits and models and report their streams a lot, because Twitch does not have people scraping through and looking through every stream to see who they should ban. That's not what it is. It's when you get a lot of reports, the things that get reported highly get moved up, and then they go through and they lay out bans based off of that. And it's plain and simple. People go to the debut of a new model for a VTuber, and a lot of them report at that moment. So I do think a lot of it is things just getting noticed more because of the rate of reporting, to be honest. Now, I don't have hard data to say that's definitely what it is, but I'm pretty certain that that's a big part of it, for sure. Do you think there's a good line / labeling for model creators? I try to avoid getting hit for showing skin while designing outfits. Yeah, I actually think the verbal or the written instructions on what is and is not allowed is pretty clear. I think what some people want is they want a drawn guide that shows exactly where the lines have to be. And I don't think they should release that, because I think if they did something like that, then everyone would draw right up to where those lines would go. You know what I mean? If they said you can show exactly 12% of the sides of the underboob, then people will pull out protractors and start trying to draw the fabric exactly on that line and maybe 1 pixel in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what Dan's point was every time we give people an inch, they take a mile. I think on paper that sounds really great, and I like that. But yeah, when they change the art category rules, they show that in practice it doesn't work like that. You know, things are very different in practice than they are on paper. And I think that's a point that people don't understand, because they'll think of that idea, oh, why don't we get a visual guide? And they think it's genius. But, you know, we can all see how that's going to go. We know realistically out in the wild how that's going to be. Right? You know, the more you get into semantics, the more that happens. And in my time working in a more corporate environment, I will tell you, a lot of the time I would specifically do my best to not give specifics when talking to people about certain things, because the more specific information I gave, the more people would pick things apart, the more people would try to cross lines, the more they would go into semantics. And it was never in good faith. That was the whole problem, right? Is at the end of the day, you want people acting in good faith. And when you give them more ways to pretend they're acting in good faith and go up to a line, the more they're going to be not acting in good faith, right? Right? I think, yeah, if you give specifics, it would start to look like the tax code. Exactly. Exactly. You know? And my main outfit does show hip, but I know exactly what the rules are, and I have a piece of fabric that is low down enough on the hip and goes all the way around, you know, and completes the circle around the hip, whatever, to make sure that it's safe and fair. And I don't think that was hard. I did that without asking anyone at Twitch what's okay. I just looked at the rules and went, okay, I'll just make sure this is good. Right? So yeah, I agree on a lot of those points, to be honest. You asked this before in patch and also didn't get around to it. You occasionally stream as a PNG tuber, but you want to level it up a bit as it's literally 4 images. Any recommendations? I do not remember the name of the program. I'm sorry, you'll have to look for it. It has like a green background and some drawn UI elements. They look hand-drawn. The there are ways where you can add animations to the PNG, so when you're talking, it floats around a little bit. It has a little movement. Things like that. You can make it so that when you talk, maybe it shakes a little. There are some programs that let you, instead of putting your PNG straight into OBS, linking it to a mic source and just having it change to mouth open when your mic source is picked up, you can use, yeah, the ones that Noro just mentioned, those two. I use that program, is still very basic. Well, that's all I got for you, if I'm being honest. That and then increasing toggles, so having more images drawn of more expressions and the pressing buttons. But I'll be honest, I don't think that you'll get much out of that. You can do it for fun. I don't think it'll increase the quality of your stream very much. When you're a VTuber and you are more so a PNG tuber and you don't have a lot of visuals going on, be funny, be engaging, be talking, be making noise. I think that will come across way better than just trying to add more visuals. So anything you want to do, you can add for fun. But there's not too much more you can do besides adding more toggleable expressions before just getting an animated model. You kind of sounds like you've already done like really good with the PNG, right? You've already like really tried to push it. So just focus on the quality of, you know, what you're saying. Are you entertaining, etc. Work on that. And then all those tiny animations are kind of the best you can do. Yeah, stream as if you don't have a model on the screen, right? And people can only hear you and just, you know, make that interesting as is. What questions were you not allowed to ask? I think I saw this earlier, but none. I was allowed to ask practically anything. Actually anything. I wasn't told any negatives, like you can't do this, you can't do that. I was told 0. You said, someone in the chat said, what is GEEGA? Is she a 40-year-old dude? And I cried laughing when I saw that in the chat. VTubers always get that. We get a lot of people that will be like, that's an older man. I would like to say, if I was using a voice changer, it would sound like garbage. You'd be able to tell because voice changers sound like garbage. Even the really good ones, the ones that implement AI, sound like garbage. Okay, there's a tinny quality to them. There's something, and you'd hear it and it would sound uncanny. And you'd be like, that's a voice changer. That's number 1. Number 2, I don't really know any VTubers that do that. There are a couple, but anyone I know personally doesn't do that. Like straight up. And I know a lot of VTubers. There are some that do, for sure. But so few that use voice changers or are hiding their identity like that. That's very rare, to be honest. It's just people... Honestly, for a lot of VTubers, it's a safety thing. I don't think I have to explain to you at all how people can be on the internet. How nasty they can be. How you say something they don't like and they decide they want to try and dox you and, you know, go find your family and weird stuff like that. When you're a VTuber and people don't have images of you, then it's a lot easier to stay safe. So for a lot of streamers, especially the girl VTubers, especially them, a lot of them, VTubing is a way to feel a lot safer. Straight up. So, you know, that's a big factor. There are also a lot of people where it's not about that at all. They just think it's cool. Right? Because think of it like this. When you play a video game and you go into the character creator and you make a character, do you make one that looks exactly like you IRL every time? For most people, no. They have, some people lean toward, oh yeah, I always do characters with blue hair, blah, blah, blah. You know, they go a little crazy with it. Sometimes they have things that are reminiscent of themselves, but for the most part, they don't try to make it look just like themselves. That's sometimes, but most don't. And that's what a lot of VTubing is. It's just like, if I made a character and a creator, what would I do? Right? There you go. They don't let you make a fat bald guy. Darn it. And the thing is, I know some VTubers that are that. I know one that's just like bald, looks a little old, wears a normal button-down shirt, you know? There are tons of VTubers that do stuff like that too, and it's funny, you know? It's really funny. Brodog said, what's up? Does it require fancy software to run VTube characters? I should have done some research, but I'm lazy. Well, do some damn research. But no, it's not, you do need software, but it's not like fancy. Vast majority of people for 2D models use VTube Studio, and you can get it on Steam. And then you go into the App Store on an iPhone or Android. You download VTube Studio there as well. And there are instructions on how to do it. You just go in and link the two. Put your model files straight into the folder, and that's it. There you go. Then you can run it. That's what I do. I have toggles and stuff, right? So it allows me to do things like this. Wow, my arms are no longer crossed. You know, I could pull out my flintlock pistol. I can show you how I can shoot it. Woo! Because I'm running this in VTube Studio, so it lets me do things like that. So I can pick a random shatter, and I can ban them like this. And whoever gets hit gets banned. It's stuff like that. Stuff like that. We can do we can put the full outfit on, right? You can add layers of art and things and make a lot of changes. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And VTube Studio kind of allows for that. So it's nice. You know what sorcery is this? It's literally just art that has been drawn and animated. And VTube Studio lets you press buttons to turn things on and off. That's all, right? So if I decide I want my eye patch on, I press a button. Now it's on, and it, you know, it's rigged to match up with everything, right? It's really simple, and if you run a model through VTube Studio, you can do that.
Join the Discord and join Undead Faction Redeems chat.
Thank you, Phoenix. Thanks for always reminding. Thank you. But yeah, I could do this. Look, hand on my hip. Wow, right? But what I was saying before with people with outfits and things, like, you don't have to be this fully clothed, okay? Your clothes are so nice. Thanks, guys. That's my outfit designer right there in the chat. Noro, twitch.tv/Noro, who drew this outfit. Wow. Wowee. You don't have to be this fully clothed, but it's nice. It's nice. What does hand and body tracking? So for 2D models, most people do not have hand tracking at all. Anything you see the hands doing is something that you toggle on, and it's just an idle animation, like in a video game when you're not moving and the character's just kind of doing an animation like that. So if I change what the arms are doing, that is me pressing a button. I'm actually waving, I'm sorry to like peel back the curtain if you like immersion, but I'm waving my arms in the air right now and you can't see it because it doesn't track that. 3D models often will track that. It just depends on what physical trackers you're wearing. If you're not wearing gloves or a wrist tracker, it won't show it, obviously, but if you are wearing one, it will show it. VTube Studio does actually have hand tracking, so you can actually have it recognize when your hands are up. It just has to be because you're using a cell phone that's just like on a stand in front of you. You have to hold up your hands in a spot where they can be seen by the camera. But if you do that, you can have certain hand animations work with it. But it's different. A 3D model can do everything that you can do movement-wise. A 2D model, someone has to create the animation for it. And then when it sees you do a certain hand position, it goes, ah, it's this animation. And then it pulls up the hand. So it's a little more disjointed in the way the technology works, but it's still possible. It's still very possible. Don't you have one tied to your mouse? On the other outfit, on the Warlock outfit, I have one where, yeah, when I move my mouse around, my arm, like, slides around with where the mouse is. That's actually what the flintlock pistol is. So if I put this back on, this is left click. Ready? It's me like squeezing but not firing. I could do that. And then this is right click. That. Does that make sense? So if I'm playing a game, I'm playing a shooter, I can be like, bah, 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 bah. You'll see this moving as I'm clicking and clicking heads, right? So it kind of gives you that that ability to tell what I'm doing. It's just not literally an animation of me clicking on a mouse, right? So that's the cool thing with models with VTubing, is that you can liken any action to any animation. For example, I could set it so that when I close my right eye, my mouth opens. I could just set any input that my tracking is taking in to any animated output on the model. So that's how you come up with stuff like, okay, what if I click and it looks like I'm firing my gun, right? Stuff like that. So that's how people can kind of get creative with making the 2D model feel more lifelike. They're like triggers. Yeah, they're really simple inputs and outputs. You notice when I blink, look at my ears. I don't know if you've noticed that that was linked to the blink for those of you that have seen it before, but it's just linked there just to give extra movement when I do a thing that I do normally, right? Stuff like that. Kamimi's pigtails. Yeah, when Camilla smiles, her pigtails start like flapping a little. So you could take any animated anything and liken it to any input. You could really mess up your model if you randomize them, right? And then, you know, whatever you do just completely changes up what the model's doing. You could really mess it up. Yeah, Michi's does it too. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff you can do. More questions. What game are you going to play for the Dan Clancy collab? Can it be Mario Party? Well, I haven't decided. And I was saying it'd be cool to do crossword puzzles and just chat. Hang out and talk about tech. But I could play a game. Are there news of becoming a Twitch ambassador? Was the application more a joke or fun stream? Oh no, I actually put in an application. I would like to be one, genuinely. I did. They just don't take them in super often, so, you know. It's not the sort of thing where I do that and expect an answer within, like, a week. For sure. Hold on, I'm clicking. I have a cat trying to get onto my desk, trying to steal food, but I have to redirect him so he can't steal the food. Nice try. Nice try, buddy. Yeah, Squid brought up a good point talking about regulations earlier. He said, how often does someone actually interact with the EULA, or do they just scroll to the bottom and hit accept? It's like that with Twitch. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that with the TOS, for sure. People kind of skim. I agree. For sure. Yeah, this is a good point. Someone said, I think it's okay to have variable rules, meaning rules with like a lot of gray area. But it's absolutely 100% not okay to show someone exactly what, or to not show them exactly what they did wrong. If you can't show them what they did wrong, how can they conceivably ever be expected to correct the problem? I agree. I would like the system to be more so good on that. I do know that when you do get banned, they tend to nowadays provide a clip or something, or tell you which VOD it was in. So, and it's usually you're given a moment, right? You're given a timestamp or a clip that says, this is where it happened. And then they give you the generalized reasoning. But I will say, for certain things, I think being specific like that is good. For other ban reasons, being specific is not good, because something that happens in the corporate world is the more specific you become with rules, the more the rules lawyers come out. And these people that practically want to take you to court over some tiny little thing that doesn't matter and they shouldn't have been skirting that line anyway. You know, those people come out of the woodwork and they are very costly and annoying to deal with, and it doesn't do anyone any good, right? And they're usually not acting in good faith. So that's why a lot of things are purposefully a bit vague in not just this environment, but any corporate environment. Because, yeah, actually, I only blah, 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 you know, those people come out and they don't help anything. They just keep people who are tasked with making those things better for people, making more tools to help people understand their bans, etc., have to waste their time on that guy that's arguing, right? So that needs to not happen, basically. And yeah, there will be some people that have valid concerns, but most of them are just arguing just to argue. And wasting your time on them is such a waste of resources of staff that should be helping people who need help and want help and are, again, acting in good faith. One guy said, I've seen users, possibly bots, that are going into other chats and advertising, quote unquote, Polish VTubers and only Polish VTubers to try and get others to report them and potentially get them banned. Yeah, I don't know if it's disproportionate or not. Maybe it just feels that way because I'm a VTuber myself, but I have noticed a good number of people going out of their way to try and get VTubers to get banned or try to get them, you know, targeted in some way. I've seen a lot of that. And that's just, what can you do? I do, like I was saying before, I do think a lot of VTubers having issues with outfits, whatever, are, you know, they debut a new outfit, they show it off, it's a big deal, so it's a big stream, so they get a lot of people that don't normally watch them showing up to it, and then that always brings in eyes of people that just don't like VTubers and report them for every little thing. This happens. We're just under scrutiny because there are a lot of people that don't understand it and think it's something it's not and are just looking for an excuse, right? And it doesn't take that many people reporting en masse to give you an issue, you know? So it is what it is. Yeah, they hate anime. Goku makes them so mad. I don't know, they just see it and it makes them angry, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, you said on the stream earlier there was at least one weird guy saying all VTubers should be banned. Yeah. They're everywhere, dude. I mean, I see them from my perspective all the time. And the Twitch account replied and just said no. You know? Like, Twitch is on board with us, in my opinion. So, you know, we're all right. We're gonna do okay. He said, greetings, my first chat here, the live with the CEO of Twitch on the topic of VTubing was interesting. Thank you. I wish we could have done a longer one, but the patch notes broadcasts are not, they're just not long by default. So it would have been nice. It would have been nice. Yeah, like one of my mods here said, even on our Discord, this is, we're talking about moderation again, we more so look at a person's intent when a rule break happens. If you're trying to skirt the rules, we'll just nuke you half the time. That's true. That's true. That's really hard to do on a large scale with something like Twitch. But for our personal community management here, which is a large enough community, but not huge, that's how we do it. We look at why this person's breaking this rule. If it seems unintentional, seems like maybe they just didn't know, they get a warning. Hey, by the way, you can't do this. Oh, here's an explanation of how to make that better. That's something that Twitch doesn't have the resources to afford everyone. When they give that slap on the wrist, they don't have the manpower. It takes a lot of money and hired people to do that. So, you know, at scale, that doesn't always work. But on our community scale, which is a lot smaller, we do that. And then, again, when someone breaks the same rule, let's say, but their intent was scummy, their intent was shitty, plain and simple, they were not trying to act in good faith, they just get banned. I mean, we don't care. I don't care if they will maybe change now that they got told don't do this. The fact that they went in there and tried on purpose to break a rule, depends on what the rule is. Some of them it's not this big of a deal, but you know, we just nuke them, and the community's so much better for it. And I think us looking at intent, you know, makes it great. But again, you can't do that at scale. So I don't think Twitch as a whole can offer everyone that. It's just not a thing you can do when you have so many users, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people don't always give platforms the grace of understanding they just can't do this at this scale. That's hard for people to understand unless they've worked in that sort of environment, in my opinion. But at least in this community for now, unless it grows huge, we are able to do that. So it's nice. One of you said, what if a VTuber did follow the rules but still got hit? You appeal. There's an appeal process. Plain and simple. You appeal. I do think having the things like creator clubs that allow us to be better connected with people on that side is nice. It's good. You can signal boost things a little better. You don't have to make a super angry post on Twitter. You can simply go into that Discord and go, hey, I had this issue. Here you go, right? And it's not a perfect solution, but I think it is a step toward helping that a lot. So I think, you know, it depends on how people use these tools, though, if I'm being honest. And I'm going to be real. It depends on your attitude. There are a lot of people that get banned for something that maybe they shouldn't have been. And instead of making a fuss nicely, they make a huge stink and they start shitting the bed on Twitter. And I don't think anyone really looks at that and is like, wow, I really want to help this person. They're like, oh God, I have to, because they're being terrible, you know? So I think the way people conduct themselves is a huge factor of that, right? On how you get treated when you are dealing with staff and dealing with these things, right? You know? And I understand maybe if you tried doing it nicely and it didn't work and now you're adjusting, that's different. But if you just come out the gate swinging, it's kind of, you know, we don't always need to do that. So, but that's just my opinion, personally. But I feel like I've seen enough times. We can pull back on that. I'm looking for it. You can keep asking questions if you have any. By the way, I'm still scrolling through. I have live chat here, and then I have scrolled back chat over there. Squid brought up a good point on specificity that I was saying earlier. Having to do everything exactly as written somewhere leads to issues. Just try playing D&D with me. We'll have arguments about exhaustion levels for half an hour. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. That's exactly it. That's what happened, like, they brought up earlier when they opened up the art category to be more open with what you can show, with clothing restrictions, with nudity, etc. A lot of streams showed up that were just, like, going way too far. Were you ever banned or warned? No, I have never been banned or warned about anything because I try my best to not even get close to the line. The worst I do is I even now I'm holding back a little bit. There's a lot of profanity at times, but that's it. And we're usually talking about poop. It's not like sexual, you know? It's stupid jokes like that, you know? That's just how it is. Because I have that toddler brain at times that goes, huh, poop is so funny, you know? That's just how it is.
Tell them about the shit nights.
They don't need to know about that. That was so quiet. They don't need to know about that place. They don't need that one. Nope, 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 nope. One of you brought it up really well. This is when we were talking about VTubers kind of getting hate here and there. You said, "Ah, yes, anime must be a sex thing." Yeah. I experience a lot of that. I'll come up here in a shirt. My neck isn't even showing. And there will still be people who come into chat occasionally that we have to nuke that will be like, "These VTubers are so sexual." And I'm wearing this, sometimes with the full coat on and everything. And I'll be playing a game about beating people up. And I'm talking about the video game. And people will still click on the stream and be like, "I can't believe kids watch this." like as if I'm doing anything. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. But we get a lot of that. And I think I don't get as much as other VTubers. Fine, we can't. The perineum stunning. Not something that I recommend everyone do. I'm just saying some people do it and they apparently feel great. Allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah, Carson said, "I can't tell if this is just a VTuber thing, but with people being disproportionately, like that toward VTubers, or if it's just the usual misogyny." Yeah. Yeah, I think some VTubers seem to think that a lot of people coming into chats and saying stuff like that, they're just doing it to VTubers. But yeah, I think it's both. Because I have a lot of female streamer friends that use Facecam. They're not VTubers at all, have never been. And they also get a lot of that. People coming in and it's... Let's say I have a friend and she has boobs and they're not really small. What means... what that means is you put on a shirt and unless you are covered up to the neck, cleavage will show. Okay? Because they push forward from your body and then the neckline is where it is. There you go. It's not them trying to be sexual. That's just how shirts fit on them unless they're wearing a damn turtleneck, okay? They will get people coming into their chat and being like, "I can't believe you're playing Minecraft showing this skin," really complaining. So I don't think it's just a VTuber thing, right? It's just people complaining about everything, right? That's just, it is absolutely a VTuber thing too sometimes, but it's a mix. For sure. And the thing is, a lot of people say, why don't people make their models be flatter, right? Have less boob or something. But, I mean, what do you want? Because the thing is, if we make our models completely flat, you know what happens? People come in and they're like, "You look like a child." You can't win. You can't win. Also, maybe you just want to represent what you look like. Maybe you just like them. Right? That's okay. I don't think anyone's really arguing that point. It's just people that are there to complain that are doing these things. So, you can't appease them and you shouldn't try to appease them. Is it a crime to like boobs? Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, when New Chatter brought this up, someone was like, "They hate us for some bizarre reason," talking about VTubers, and he replied, "They don't need a reason to hate, they just hate." Yes. Yes. And that's why I personally think it's very easy to ignore those people. It really doesn't get to me when people come in and just say some random thing, right? Like, they go for low-hanging fruit, they try to talk about something negative. I feel like they're just doing that because they do that, and because that's their default. I don't take it personally. I just press a button so I can't see them anymore, and then they're gone. Ta-da. I think some people make it a bigger deal than it is. Just keep pressing that button that makes them go away, and they'll be gone. Poof. Yeah. And you don't even need to, like, address it in that moment, right? I have some friends that will get kind of one guide. Someone will come in and say something negative, and they'll be like, "Oh, your VTuber boobs make me mad," or whatever. And they'll ban them, but they'll be like, "I'm so tired of them," and they'll go on a tirade. Just click the button and keep playing your game. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy, in my opinion. Now, obviously, if you're getting a deluge of it, it could be a little difficult, but when it's the normal rate, the occasional one, yeah, don't give the response. Exactly. You said, "I assume people are still weird with Pokey or Ray." Absolutely, absolutely. So it's not unique to VTubing. It's just kind of always like that. Always like that. for sure. You said seems like it would be against Twitch's own interest for Twitch to be anti-VTuber. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Anyone who thinks that that is the case, I think they're just misunderstanding the intent behind a lot of things. Rules are rules, and they are the way they are for reasons. There are people who their entire jobs are to sit there and think about what the rules should be and how they can fine-tune them to be better for everyone. And I think a lot of people are thinking from their perspective and going, these rules don't cater to me and what I want, therefore they hate me, right? But we're all in this together. There are creators and there are staff and there are advertisers and there, and there are all these people who have a part in this entire ecosystem. And I think people should not be so focused on just what they want and thinking that everything revolves around them. I think the content revolves around the creators, but the whole platform and the whole ecosystem is shared by a lot of people. And a lot of those people on the more staff or company side have a lot of information that we don't, a lot of data and stats that we don't. So we might not know everything. And I think that contributes to people, getting mad sometimes. But realistically, do you hear him in the background? Meow. That's Wolfie. Wolfie in the kitchen. Meowing from the kitchen, trying to get me to feed him. Meow. He's always in the background. One of Giga's mods deleted one of my posts on the Discord and contacted me to explain why and apologize that they had to do it. I like Giga's mods. Yeah. Yeah.
Meow.
Meow. We can't always afford everyone that, but like when it's clear your intent was really good, you just didn't get a thing, we do it. We can't always spend that amount of time, but where possible, I ask them to. We do, but again, that's the only thing we can do because of the current scale of the community. As things grow, less and less time gets put toward that. But that's why I made the ticketing system, right? You get moderated for something, they open a ticket with you in it and drop a message in there, and maybe that mod can't reply if you reply, but another mod can, right? And if we need more mods, we bring more on so we can kind of continue to do this at some level of scale. It's possible. It's just, you have to try. You have to try. That's the problem. I think some people just don't, they don't try. But we try to be like that here. Is there an equivalent danger to the rules lawyers in the people weaponizing vague rules to try to remove people they don't like? Right, because I was bringing up the point earlier where being specific brings out rules lawyers. So you're saying, what about the opposite, right? Being purposely vague, relevant to your mention of the people who just want all VTubers banned. Yeah, I think that relies on the staff being in good faith. I think the people who want all VTubers banned or whatever, the haters, etc., whatever you want to call them, those are not staff. Those are not people on the Twitch side there. Those are viewers that are really annoying. Therefore, I'm not really that concerned about it. When I look at the actual, who's on the platform from the staff side, who's actually handing out these bans, etc., I really don't see people being like that. And there are multiple of them doing these things. So if one person makes a decision that maybe doesn't fly, there are other people with their eyes on them. There's supervision, some bits of supervision happening here. So it's a system that's a little harder for that to happen in, right? So that's just how it is. That is how it is. Let's see. Hold on, I'm scrolling. You said, some people for some reason in this year still seem to equate anime with child's cartoons. Yeah, there is a lot of, there's a lot of that. I've seen that sentiment of people thinking that cartoons are for kids, therefore characters that are animated or cartoonish in any way, whether it be anime or an American cartoon, they're for kids. That's just an archaic way of thinking, plain and simple. There have always been cartoons that were made for adults. There have always been marketable characters that are marketed to adults, whether they're actually animated or not. This has always been the case. It's just that some of the most popular are things like, let's go all the way back to Mickey Mouse, which was entertainment for those who are generally younger, right? Yes, Ren and Stimpy, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, right, exactly. South Park. These things have always existed. One of the most watched shows ever on television is Family Guy, an animated show, a cartoon, and that is very much for those that are older. It's not completely mature where like a teenager can't watch it, but still it's very much marketed toward an adult crowd. And a lot of who watches it are adults. So, you know, there are a billion and one examples you could always point to say that things have always been for a wide range of people. Um, but yeah, you'll get those people who will just be like, yeah, anything animated is for kids. It's just not true. Plain and simple, right? Yeah, you said as cool as Evangelion is, it's not for kids. No. Yeah, you brought up Aeon Flux. That's a really good example. I always remember, when I think of Aeon Flux, I always remember I want to say it was the DVD box art or something, had the image, that drawing of her eye very close up with her eyelashes closing on a fly. Do you remember that? It's like a really specific drawing that they use for promotion. But I remember that one. I can like picture it so vividly. But yeah, Aeon Flux is old as hell. Old as hell. It's been around for a very long time. And yeah, it's not for kids, not at all. So that's just how it is. That's how it is. Creepy opening animation of the show. It was gross. It was gross. But that was kind of the vibe of the show. That's what was cool about it. Right? You said you honestly feel that a majority of animated or cartoon like stuff is for an audience older than 15, and people really like to deliberately ignore that. That is true. I think the first half of that is true. I don't think people are deliberately ignoring it. I think they are simply not exposed to it because it is still in a bubble. If you're into anything animated at all, you probably end up being aware of that fact. But if you're not into anything animated, then the only exposure you get to cartoons are kids' cartoons for the most part. You see a couple Family Guy clips, but it becomes the exception in their mind, just Simpsons or Family Guy, right? And even then, a lot of teenagers watch those things, so in their mind, they think kid. So the average person, I get why they think that, personally. That being said, I think there are enough examples in front of them to understand otherwise, but I don't think people think about this, right? I don't think they use brain power to think about these topics at all. They never have to. They're just randomly having a character put in front of them, and that's just the first thing.
Cheer 100, cheer 100.
Yeah.
Evening, all.
Hello.
First time chatter / lurker.
Welcome.
Just want to tip my hat off to you since it's my first time into the realm of tubers the past couple of days since I've found
Thank
some.
you.
And you yourself have been a great listen to.
Thank you.
Especially during the chatting segments, for it feels sort of like a podcast while working, and I enjoyed the conversations and topics.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, when I'm sitting around doing just chatting, I aim to be second monitor content. You know, I'm not trying to do anything crazy on the screen that you have to watch. I want you to be able to throw me on the other monitor if you'd like, and play a game, or be driving and listening in, or whatever it is, and just be hanging out. That's straight up what it is. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, vast majority of my viewers, when I am chatting, tell me they are at work listening in. So, and then when I start gaming, more people are like more actively watching because there's, you know, something really happening on the screen. But yeah, that is the goal. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with second monitor content. I don't think so at all. I think it's a great thing. It's basically just podcasting with an optional visual element, but some people will say it like it's a bad thing. They'll be like, "Oh, the streamer is such a second monitor streamer," and I'm like, "That's the point." I don't understand what the problem is. I think that's a good thing. Actually, like you said, most streamers are put on the second monitor while they do things, while they game or get work done or whatever. Most people multitask. And that's just how it is. He said I'm the Frasier of anime women. Hold on, I don't like Frasier, okay? I never liked Frasier. Cobra, thank you for gifting a sub. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I know, I'm not a Frasier fan. Poisonally. Lurkers are the best, am I right? It is kind of nice. I mean, it's hard when you're a smaller streamer and you don't have any viewers saying anything. It can be hard for some people to figure out what to say because there's no one to bounce off of. But I do like when the chat is a little slower sometimes, because then I can actually read things and respond to them, and I don't feel like people are getting left out. When the chat is really fast, it's usually fine because a lot of people aren't posting huge sentences or anything. They're not trying to get seen. But occasionally there is something where someone really says a thing or asks a question and I don't get to pick up on it because it's moving fast. And I feel bad. At the same time, I shouldn't, because if I'm making content for a big audience, then I am. That's okay. The expectation is people show up, they see a fast chat. They shouldn't type and expect to be seen, right? But I still feel bad, you know? I still do. Love the slower chat conversation vibe. I've always had a chat like this, and then sometimes someone will come in and go, this chat moves so slow for X amount of viewers, something like, so they're trying to dunk on me, and then the chat will explode with people typing, and they're like, hey, I'm listening, I just wasn't typing because I have a job, kid, you know? They'll start like they'll start posting emotes and things. They're like, actually, I'm here. It happened the other day. We were playing Minecraft. Some kid came in and like said that. And suddenly everyone just started moving. They're like, I've been listening the whole time. I'm just gaming. It was funny. It was really, really funny. But I know they're there. I like the lurkers, you know? I'm aware. You're tiny. You enjoy the slow chat, especially if you're hyper focused in a game. Oh, it's so... when you lock in and you realize it's been 2 minutes of not looking at chat, and you look back and you realize that so much has passed that you didn't get to scan at all, you didn't get to see. I'm better with it now, but it used to be a bad feeling. I used to feel terrible because I would read everything in my chat, every single line when I was smaller, you know? But I don't feel bad anymore. I've gotten used to it, and I understand that's not that important to people, that every word gets like said out loud, right? But I remember back in the day feeling that way, for sure. Yeah. I feel like I can actually say something and respond to it. I try, and you know, I'll ignore some things on purpose because it's not really relevant to what we're saying, or it's not a thing I feel like I can pivot off of in that moment or whatever, but we try. Brian, thank you for the 2 months. Thank you. If you could read every chat message when it's fast, you'd be literally dead. Yeah, it's impossible. You accidentally type content it's meant for here into your content for work a couple times. Yeah, I've had a lot of people type things in this chat that were meant for their, like, a work group chat while they're in a call, or they're supposed to be put in a Slack channel, and they just type it in here on accident, and we look at it and we try to parse what's going on there, you know, what does this mean? And it's straight up, oh, that was supposed to be for work. It's funny. It's really funny. You prefer being a small streamer for that reason? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you should only really want to grow on a big scale if you're trying to make this your job and live off of it. But for the most part, if you're just trying to stream because you like streaming, you should just want the type of chat vibe you want. That's the only goal, right? Obviously, for the sake of the platform, they want everyone to want to grow. For sure. That's just how things work. But if you're just streaming because you like streaming, there are quite a few people who prefer a slower chat. For sure. You saw someone do a respond to every comment made in the next hour, redeem or challenge or whatever, and it took 6 hours to get caught up. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Some people have redeems and things to ask questions. I had one, but I turned it off. And you know why I turned it off? Because I was unable to get to them fast enough while gaming. I wouldn't notice them. It wasn't mechanically I was unable to. I just personally could not get myself to always check. So, yeah, and that's why I have TTS, exactly, because then I can't possibly not notice it, right? For sure. Some lurkers don't time very fast. It's true. It's true. Curious what the minimum size might be in order to self-sustain, i.e. full-time. Super subjective. Still wondering about the ballpark. Yeah, it is, like you said, very wide, very subjective. The biggest factors in deciding if you can go full-time are, number one, where do you live? What's your cost of living? Can you make that smaller? Are you willing to downsize or go live somewhere cheaper, potentially, right? Like, what are your options there? That's number one, because that changes the barrier to entry by a massive amount. Number two, how many people do you have subbing? How much money you're making from subs from people individually subscribing to your channel versus gifted subs? Because you can't rely on gifted subs. You should not, because you could have someone who reliably for a year gives you a certain number of gifted subs every month. You still shouldn't factor that in, because that person could wake up one day and say, I am no longer going to gift subs. I'm going to tighten the belt a little bit. I shouldn't spend this money. And then boom, those subs are gone. You shouldn't rely on that. So if you have a community where you have more individual people subbing and you can live off of, that plus other factors, then that's pretty great. But if you have not that many people individually subbing and a few people gifting subs, right, it's more volatile and you shouldn't rely on that. So that's kind of the second factor you really have to look at. My goal was always not to try and get people to gift more subs, but to just get more individuals to subscribe. And I find that I've talked to friends and asked if they'd be willing to share statistics with me, and we compare and contrast. And my rate of viewership versus people that are individually subbed to me has gone up as I've changed things with content and everything. And it's good. I feel good about that because I feel like that's healthier, that's stable, So I that just makes me feel like it's a little more healthy, right? The times you stream also affected as well. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, for me, like I said on the broadcast earlier, I worked in tech for a long time.
If you think extremely specific rules are bad, then what do you think about the legal system?
Well, one of my rules is that I don't talk about politics or any of those things. Haha. Take that. Well, that's dealing with people's lives entirely, so it's a little different. It's a little different. Also, your taxes pay for it, so you get what you get. The thing I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? What was I even saying before that? What did I start on? Oh yeah, I worked in tech for a long while. And so when I was deciding to go full time, I didn't want to go full time until I could make enough money to be competitive with that salary. Thing is, it was never going to get to that point because I was in a really good role, So it was never going to get to that point. But then I had a major health issue that took me out of normal work. And that was when I decided to pivot to being a streamer, because I was at least making a portion that made sense to me. It just made sense to me. But I was realistically, had I never gotten sick, I was not going to go full time ever, no matter how much I grew, unless it outpaced what I was making, as a tech worker. But yeah, health happens. Shit happens, guys. So yeah, I lost one ball and here I am. As a TLDR. Anyway, I was thinking, at some point I want to do a charity stream. But I want to find a good cancer foundation for it. Because as I mentioned, what I developed was cancer. And I was thinking of finding a foundation that specifically deals with the type that I had. Or not the specific type, but like ovarian cancer. But also there are ones called there's one called Fuck Cancer. I gotta see if that foundation is good. I have to do my research into it, but there's one just called Fuck Cancer. I want to look at a lot of different organizations and see which one I kind of like. There are some foundations that will be more on the side of supporting people with cancer, and then there will be other ones that are more on the research side, right? Supporting research happening and not the individuals. So I have to go check. I have to go check on all that and see what's going on with that. We'll see. We'll see. Start your own charity called One for Ball. Yeah, make a 501c. Ugh. Those are annoying to run from a financial perspective. Very, very, very annoying. Very annoying. Not a cancer gift from fucking, to be clear. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you decide if a charity is worth supporting? Well, you can never be right about everything, but you try your best to research. You look at what sort of services they provide. They are usually pretty open, or they have to be a certain level of open about where their money goes and how they spend it. So you look at any reports that have been put out on where they spend their money and decide if you like that, if you're cool with that, if you're chill with that. Hi, Clown Pubes, welcome back to the chat. I think one of my favorites that I've always donated to, when it comes to used items, all of that, has always been Big Brothers Big Sisters. I've talked about them before, but I like a lot of the services that they offer, and I have a lot of friends that have personally been very positively affected by that whole community, not just the organization itself, but people that have worked for the organization before or volunteered and are now just doing their own thing. Yeah, I like their work a lot, like a lot. So that's one that I've always supported where I can. I don't give things to Goodwill. I give things to Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. just you know, I don't think Goodwill's the worst, but you know, they have stores and things, whereas Big Brothers Big Sisters is on the ground a bit more. So I'm more of a fan of going through them. Thank you, Germ. Thank you. Consider donating hair. Yeah, that would be good. Just make sure you know which group you're going through, because some of them will still make money off of that. It's one thing to make a certain amount of money to just pay for the labor to make the wig, but they're, you know, that's completely reasonable. That work has to happen. You can't ask everyone in every pipeline to volunteer for everything. But yeah, there are also plenty of organizations that do a little better on that. So look into that. You don't have to have the person cutting your hair take it from you to donate it. You can donate it yourself to one that you like. You can straight up mail it in sometimes. So just look into that. Yeah, Goodwill is a for-profit corporation. Yeah. That's why I'm saying look into Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think they do a good job. They do pretty great. I've had, like I said, my cat's back. Hi, Nucky. I've had friends who, especially I've had a couple friends that were in foster care personally, that they told me how much that organization did for them by offering them mentorship, because they didn't have parents. But not only did they not have biological parents, they didn't have a whole family with adults in it to look up to. They didn't have enough of a community with a lot of adults to be mentored by, etc. They did not have that support system. So what Big Brothers Big Sisters does is they sort of match you up with these mentors and just adults to have in your life so that you can absorb life experience from them. And a lot of my friends in foster care would not have had that level of support if they didn't go through that organization. Straight up, they would not have had that. So yeah, and it's not even that foster parents are bad. Sometimes they can be, but sometimes they're great. But a lot of the time they are just themselves alone, the nuclear family. They don't always come with a whole, you know, community and huge family to help these kids. A lot of the time they actually are people who are just kind of, they were in that situation themselves and they want to help. So they themselves are just two people, right? So it's a really, really good organization. I find that they're trying to do effective solutions through mentorship, not just hand a kid a shirt and go, you have clothes now, right? Get out there, pal. You know? So I enjoy them. Anyway, I wanted to go through the VOD from, let me see if it's available first, from the patch notes. And I wanted to pick chat questions that didn't get answered. Or maybe they did and I just wasn't there for it. There's Mary. I love Mary, by the way. And I want to see if I can answer some of them. Give insight. Because we had very limited time, you know, so I thought that would be nice. Mary! We love Mary in this household. Let me zoom on around when they brought me in. I'm not going to show it on screen because I'm just grabbing questions from the chat. I'm just clicking the forward button. Are they in other countries? Big Brothers, Big Sisters? I don't know. I only know about their activities in the US, but they're called Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. So I don't know if they have other branches like that. They might. You should look into it. I'm actually not aware. Okay, I'm grabbing, let me write on the screen that this is what I'm doing. Hold on. Hold on. Text. Okay. Grabbing unanswered questions from the patch notes. The patch notes. Okay. Boom. In case anyone's like, where is she finding this? What is going on? There we go. Big fan of Mary from when I was in the Giant Bomb community. Yeah, she's been around for a hot minute. Hot minute. Okay. One said, I would love to learn what creative options exist for VTubing avatars along with voice manipulation possibilities. Okay. A lot. I sort of answered it on the broadcast a little bit, but anything, literally anything that anyone wants to do is somehow possible. You can be any type of character you want to be. You can have any sort of art style you want. This is both in 2D and 3D. This is animated or not animated. Anything that is possible with technology, you know? Here's the question. Is possible. I know that's so vague, but that is quite literally the best I can say there. I mean, you can be a gun. I know that there's a guy who's just a lamp. He's just a lamp. Yeah, sock puppet VTubers. People have sock puppet models, so it's animated. There are people who have... Kraken has that really cursed model of himself that moves when he talks, but it's just moving in this weird animated pattern, and it's so weird. It's so weird, but it's so funny. I love his model too. There's a lot. You know how a lot of VTubers, when they stream games, they have an overlay that you shrink the game window down, and you have the left side or the right side, and then the bottom side kind of showing and displaying stream information, all the models in the corner. There's a VTuber that made a model that is the overlay. So when you watch the stream, the overlay has like a face embedded into it, and it would talk. It was really funny. It was really funny. So creative options are everywhere. It's 2D animation with anything you can draw can be animated. And then 3D, anything you can model in a 3D program can be animated into an avatar. Anything. So that answers that. And then they said voice manipulation possibilities. They just have to research into it. I will say, while some voice changers and things are pretty good, none of them are incredible to the point where everyone's fooled. So, you know. Most VTubers that you hear that have an interesting voice, either they always sound like that, their voice just sounds like that, or they are voice acting their character, which is the same as any other voice actor. For example, Cabal. When Cab speaks with his real voice, you can still tell that it's him. But he's just voice acting. He's not doing any modulation or anything special. He's just talking. Play a clip of him speaking right now. This won't be in the VOD, unfortunately, because I hide this audio. But let me find a... All of his thumbnails are really funny. I'm just looking at them. They're good. Here's him talking. That's his laugh. The cackle. I'd remove my face. Here he is again. He just sounds like a slightly ghoulish kind of guy, and he just has like a skeleton body under his robe, and why? Now his real voice doesn't quite sound like that, but he's voice acting, you know. So I'd say if anyone wants to get into VTubing and they want to have an interesting voice, if that's the point of wanting voice manipulation happening, you should just learn to voice act. And I say that truly like that. Just learn forehead. Because even if you're not really good at it, you can do some amount of it with practice. And maybe streaming can be your practice. Maybe that can be the way that you learn. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, I'm gonna scroll forward and keep and keep finding questions. Some of the stuff people were saying in the pre-chat was really funny. They kept talking about SpongeBob. I don't know why they were talking about SpongeBob so much, but they they kept talking about it. A lot of people kept asking how to become a VTuber, but realistically, get a picture drawn and put it in the corner of your stream. Ta-da! And then if they want a model, they want to be animated, they're going to have to research that. There's no one place that is the right place to go to buy those models, but I would recommend the website VGen, VGEN, VGen. It is a website where you can go to kind of like something like Fiverr. You can go and commission someone for something. You leave them notes of what you want, they make it. There you go. That is one that I think is really, really, really solid and has a lot of well-vetted artists on there. For sure. I hate watching people like at Dan over questions that are totally irrelevant. But this is like their one chance to ask him questions, so I get it, you know? When I'm looking for like VTuber questions and someone will be like, Dan, what do you think about something? It's just completely random, completely different. Booth and Etsy for pre-made models. That's true. Booth is really good. Booth is really good for that. There are a lot of free models on Booth. Filian's model isn't even something that she owns. That is just something that, you know, she bought the rights to use on stream, but anyone could go get Filian's model, you know? It's just a little modified. So, just saying, you don't need to buy one that's custom. Actually, VTube Studio comes with a couple of models that you use for free. They're not my favorite, but Neuro's first model was just the basic girl that you get when you open VTube Studio. That's it. And the current design was based off of that because it became sort of her identity. She used it so much. So, yeah, no, just saying. Just saying. Okay, not a question, but someone in chat was like, I'm new to the world of streaming, and I wish there was a dedicated channel that just teaches someone new how to start without having to look up tutorials on YouTube. What's the difference? What is the difference? I'm curious, what do they mean by that? The only difference I could think of is maybe if it's live, they could ask questions, but you would just watch. You'd have to go watch their VODs. That was your question. Okay, what is the difference? What do you want that's different than looking up a YouTube video? What do you want out of it? What are you missing? The questions part? Yeah, that's the big thing that I think is the difference, right? Is that you're live so you can ask. But what would you do if you show up to their stream and they're on a topic and it's like episode 10 of topics, but you're on like episode 2? As far as knowledge, right? I think you should just go to YouTube and watch, and then when you have a specific question, Google it, because I guarantee you a ton of people have had that same question. But what I would do is, when you Google your question, unironically add Reddit to the prompt, and you will find people where they have asked the same question on like the Twitch subreddit 5 years ago, and you will get people giving them multiple answers. I think that's what you would be missing. The specific TOS. Yeah, it might be your friend, right? Because you could post something there and go, is this okay? And it's not perfect answers, but it's good. I don't know if this has been asked, but should a newish streamer use a default model versus a PNG while they wait for a model commission, or will that negatively affect the channel or brand? When you're a small streamer, you will gain so much more by just being live than waiting for a certain brand to happen, waiting for your model so you can launch all at once. If you're a bigger streamer, it's better to, or let's say you're a bigger persona on another platform and you're going to launch your Twitch channel, it makes more sense to wait because there are already people anticipating you and you want the first impression to be really good. But when you don't have an existing community, you're just starting from scratch, like you said, newish streamer, just let it develop. Yeah, just let it develop. And what you can always do is delete old VODs. Straight up. Delete old VODs. If you get a new model, get rid of them. So if someone hasn't watched you before and they show up to your channel, all they see is stuff with the new model. There you go. Right? You can change up branding and pivot anytime. Anytime at all. You said... I'm scrolling. From your question earlier, I think the YouTube poll also feels a bit overwhelming and less sequential or about best practices. Oh, for the streaming advice thing? Yeah, the thing to do is to find one or two creators who you like their advice, the way they speak, it clicks with you, and then just look through all the videos they have on their channel about those things. Use their channel as the one that you reference most often. And then once you've exhausted a lot of their videos and you feel like you know what you need and there's some stuff that you're missing that isn't on their channel, then you go searching for that elsewhere. I think that's better. Otherwise, you're going to end up watching 10 videos that all say 80% the same thing. So it's kind of a waste of time, right? For sure. He said, this is the same reason why there's a plethora of advice for the same topics online, though. No, advice are starting out, something is very situational, even OBS settings aren't the same, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this, again, yeah, like you said, is situational. It is nice to be able to ask live. There will be VTubers that sometimes while they're live and chatting, they're going live for that thing. Ask me anything. Oh, we're talking about VTubers today. You know, go and do research on VTubers, follow them, find ones that lean into the advice kind of content a bit more, and then go see when they're live, right? You'll have to search for them on Twitter and on here and try to find them. It will take time, but that might be easier for you. For me, I'm doing the stream right now, so I'll answer questions right now. But other streams, I won't be talking about this stuff. Someone will be like, how do I become a VTuber? And I'm talking about walkable cities, and I won't entertain that question, you know? So look for maybe smaller creators, and they're, at that moment, focusing on that kind of content. You will find them. There are also people who are not VTubers that are really helpful. I think a great person who streams on Twitch and makes YouTube videos is Nutty. He focuses on the tech side, on the software side of things, and juicing up your streams with different bots and stuff like that, and how can I automate things, etc. But he also just has good general stream advice, and he's live very often, and you can ask him questions because he's talking about software, but you can be like, hey, I just don't know how this OBS thing works. He loves OBS. He'll talk about it, right? So I recommend Nutty. I think he's like me. He has a realistic view. He's not going to give you that kind of like dreamer advice. If you just put your mind to it, you're going to do it. He's not going to do that. He'll say realistically, blah, 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 blah. And he'll set an expectation for you that feels real. You know what I mean? He's not going to promise you the world. And I always enjoy advice like that personally. So Nutty's great. Okay. So in the VOD, they talked about creator clubs. I'm going to join the VTuber creator club for the record. I will be there. I would like to be there. I'm curious to see what the tools are like, or maybe not tools, but you know, how that community works. I think it's a Discord. I think. I don't know if there are other spaces where they talk about anything that are available to any of them, but I think it's just a Discord. Are you in it, Haku? It did sound like it. I think they referenced that specifically. I think they said it was. But Discords are great because you have forums, you have galleries, you have all these types of tools that you can do, you know, various methods of communication with. Yeah, Stream Team. It looked like they made one that's just VTubers. Stream Team just called VTubers. I think they said, was it 800 or so, or was it 600 or so VTubers that are in that already? It's crazy. That's huge. Yeah, you can also go into our Discord. It's true. That's very true. Yeah, creator clubs are Discords. I think that's better than them building tools for it. I think they would waste their time. They'd waste a lot of time developing that. For what? People should just use user voice in Discord. There are a lot of people saying they were in the artist club in the chat, which was nice. Whoever was running the Twitch account in the chat during this stream, they were asking you questions. Who is your favorite VTuber? Name your top 3. A lot of people naming people I know, naming friends, which is always nice. I agree, Blazy. Vroid is really solid if you're starting out. And it's very easy to grab a VR chat model and have one that's usable in Vroid. Vroid models are not hard to find online because they usually are rigged in a way where they work in VR chat. So there's a big library of them and you can just use them. You just have to check. Some of them it's okay to use for streaming. Some of them it's not. Some of them have TOS that say you cannot monetize this. So you just have to really check. You have to really check. Okay, here's the part where I got on the screen. Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna scan the chat for questions. Someone, you know, actually, I saw several people ask for this in the chat. There were several people during the stream that asked if they could get a VTuber filter on Twitch because they want to filter out VTubers or filter in. Maybe they mean filter in, but I think they were asking to filter out. No. Actually, I think it would be nice if they let you filter out a tag. But most people don't use tags completely properly, so that's probably a terrible idea. I have plenty of friends that are not VTubers that put the VTuber tag on their stream to be funny. And that's not really policed very heavily. You'd have to get like reported a lot for them to even notice. Because no one's manually checking for this stuff. So whatever. But the thing is, there are a lot of VTubers where if you took their model off the screen, you would never know that they were a VTuber. By the way they speak, the way they act, the way they play games, what their content is, you just have no clue. Because it has nothing to do with their content other than it being on the screen. So like they're just people that get mad when they see Goku. You know what I mean? It's that crowd. It's that crowd. Top one on VTuber right now is XQC. Yep. Yep. Seen it a lot. Garrick does it too. It's funny. Someone commented they work at an anime con. They find it surprising that they've started booking VTubers as guests the last couple of years. You know, a lot of VTubers that they book are arguably a lot bigger than a lot of the creators that they would book for other things, for cosplay and stuff like that, as far as reach and how well known they are. So I'm kind of not surprised. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I think it's a great thing. Actually, a lot of people that became VTubers were in the cosplay community before that. They always liked the same kind of stuff anyway. So plenty of them were con goers from what I've heard. Sorry, interview with Dan. One thing Twitch needs ASAP for viewer experience POV is rework the algo so we can find streamers playing particular games easily. No, they don't. All due respect, no. What? You go up to the search bar and you type in the game you want, and then you find tons of streamers playing the game. Yeah. That they have categories. They've always had categories. That's not the algo. Unless you want them to show that to you on the front page because you're a front page user. And if that's the case, then they already do that. They show you things that you tend to watch category-wise. You mean the VODs? Oh, I see. The problem is people change games mid-VOD, so you can't always classify it as it's a VOD for this game specifically. And yeah, you can follow categories. Yeah, I get what you're saying on that, but this platform doesn't focus on VODs in that way. It just doesn't. Yeah, you should go to people's YouTube channels because a lot of them have VOD channels and you can find it there. That's what I'd recommend. I do think maybe the VOD experience could be adjusted. Maybe. But for the most part, people only watch VODs of creators that they already watch. They don't go by game. They go by creators that they like. You tend to discover someone while they're live, and then if you see that they're in the middle of a playthrough of some sort, then you go to that channel's VODs. That's kind of where they go. Or the average user will go through that path. So, that's just how it is. That's how it is. You have to get revenue from Twitch VODs? I don't think we do. I do have a VOD channel. I do. You can do exclamation point YouTube. Boom, it's the third link there, GigaVods. And actually, we just caught it up to all the old content, so now everything posted on there is newer stuff only. And we've been putting everything into playlists so you can actually find it, because I know it's not all uploaded in chronological order, because we were doing the backlog. But yeah. Yep, it's all there. It's all there. I'm gonna keep looking at this chat. Here, I'll do some of these. Not all of these questions will be about VTubing, but I'll still answer some of them because I like them. Someone said, how can you build an active community when you can dedicate a lot of time to streaming, or when you have to dedicate a lot of time to streaming? You do it in tandem. I think everyone thinks they need to stream for 8 hours. Dan brought up a really good point that there are diminishing returns. I'd say a 5-hour stream is really good and really effective. An 8-hour stream, those last 3 hours there are okay. Everything beyond that is, you're not really getting much out of it. You'd be better off ending your stream after 5 hours and then going into your Discord and just screen sharing a separate game or something that's a more niche interest in there and doing that. I used to do that all the time. Now I do it on the alt channel because Discord can't handle it enough users for the stages. It kept ending my screen share on me and it was being poo-poo. But you do that, people get into the habit of being in the Discord hanging out, and then when you end that stream, they might hang out more. Maybe they'll hang out with other people. It kind of fosters the community. So, yeah, just think about how you're using your time. That's one of the best ways. No start streaming when you're fucking dead and not talking anymore after 5 hours. Yeah. I decide when to end stream based off of if I have something else to do, other work I want to do that I need to use my time for, or when my voice starts dying. Straight up. There's some days where I talk and 4 hours in, I'm like, wow, I really can't go anymore. And I just stop. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Off topic, yes or no scarves? What's your favorite length of scarf? Yes to scarves, but not a very long one. I like one that's a little shorter, and I just crisscross it on my front. It goes around the back of my neck, and I make like an X in the front. Boom, that's it. You not lose your voice a lot by doing this? No, because I've trained it so much. But I've been doing it for so long. You get used to it, but you have to train up to it, so don't strain yourself. You do. Question, recommendations for streamers who work full-time is what someone asked. Well, I did that. They have to remember the thing that I mentioned earlier, which is don't stream for too long. Get a really good 3 to 5 hour stream in, maybe just 2, and stop there. And be consistent and be live in the same time slot every day rather than all at once on one day if you're working full time. So get home. Here's what I would do. Get home, finish up some work or do some tasks up until it's time to eat. Eat dinner. After dinner, sit down and stream for a bit. Right? And there are days where I would go really long. There are other days where I would just stream for 3 hours, and that was okay. And I think if I only streamed for 2 to 3 hours, I wouldn't have grown as fast, but I still would have done okay because I would have streamed like daily, you know? So I'd say more often, same number of hours throughout the week, but instead of packing them all into one day for a really long stream, just go ahead and spread them out a little and be consistent. Do a little hangout. I think, yeah, you try to stream twice per week. Yeah, I think doing it more often is better, but I will say if something happens, you get raided, you suddenly are playing a game and you have a lot of viewers, whatever, that should be the one you try to extend because you have a lot of potential discoverability for new people to come in. But if you're streaming and your viewership is lower that day, then it usually is. And it's really just regulars. There's no new people there. And you're at that point where you've already streamed for 3 hours and you're going, should I end it here like I sometimes do, or should I go to 5 hours like I sometimes do? If it's that lower day, end it there and try to use that time to maybe make a YouTube short, do something that's more constructive. You know, I wouldn't say don't stream. I wouldn't say stop after an hour if no one shows up, because then you're not live at all. There's no chance to grow. But smarter, not harder kind of thing. For sure. For sure. All right, let me keep scrolling. I keep scrolling. Yeah, lots of people asking if I was AI. AI isn't that good yet, guys. Okay, it's not. It's not at all. I think Twitch has been better with this, but I wish other companies and other people would not advertise VTubers as AI because it's very rare that they are. There are so few that are. The only one that's like well known is Neuro. And she's so obviously AI, right? So obviously. But there are practically no others. There are a couple of projects, but none of them are very well done. And some of them that are well done are not well known. The only one that is well done and well known is her. You know? There really, really, really are not other AI VTubers for the most part. Very few. So, yeah, Beetlehand made her LLM, her personality, etc. Yep. So they all be AI? No. It won't happen. It won't happen at all. I think there will be more, but they won't be popular, personally. If you'd start out tomorrow from 0 followers again, how would you go about it? I do a lot of what I did in the beginning, the same, where I did playthroughs of games that I wanted to replay or old games that I never got to. So I played a lot of stuff that was GameCube era, and then on top of that I played a lot of indie games. I would stick to a niche like that. I would not play flavor of the month popular stuff, things that just came out, because the smaller of a streamer you are, the harder it is to make that work, personally. But yeah, when I first started playing, I was playing... What did I do? Oh, event-based stuff. Event-based stuff. So I think this is for any size, but I would focus on things that I did before, and I would do more of them. For example, using crowd control, a program that lets you play an older game typically, but play any game really, that's able to hook up with it. And instead of doing a normal playthrough of a game, I would do a playthrough with crowd control on. And that's the thing that lets you buy coins and then spend those coins to make things happen in-game to the streamer. So for example, you could play Minecraft, someone could press a button and they spawn a creeper in-game. Stuff like that. I did an entire stream where I played Wind Waker, a full playthrough, so multiple streams, where I played through the entirety of Wind Waker with crowd control on. So the whole time I was working against my chat to be able to beat that game. Stuff like that, stuff that is very challenge or event based, I think is really good when you're trying to grow. So I would if I were starting from 0, I'd focus on that stuff again. It's harder to do when you're a bigger streamer because it's really hard to manage the coin prices to make that make sense without it becoming a clusterfuck, but when you're smaller, it's very easy to do that. So that's one of the things I miss about being a smaller streamer. It's easy to predict that kind of stuff. How much coins should cost, how many coins it should take to buy a certain thing in crowd control, etc. For sure. So our VOD, I think the VODs are somewhere on the VOD channel. Squid, can you confirm? I don't know. I don't remember. It should be. It should be. He said, I think Twitch should understand enforcing clothing policy for flesh tubers and VTubers equally is not a fair thing. Well, when I talked to them, they said it is the same between both. And if you think it's unfair, you go use the right channels to say something. You add them on Twitter. You bring attention to certain examples of the policy not being enforced properly. And don't skirt the line. That's my advice. Don't skirt the line. Don't be like, this fits specifically within the line by 1 pixel of your guideline. You know what I mean? And encourage others to do the same. I'm not saying you have to dress like a grandma. You don't have to dress like a grandma. But if they said no underboob, don't have underboob. They said no underboob, so you put like 2 inches of it showing at the edge of the outfit. No, none. They said none, right? Things like that. Just be careful on it. There's one chatter who I know sometimes here that asked a question in that chat at the time. They said, just join. Have they asked why Twitch hates VTubers? Just do me a favor. If you're from my community, don't ask questions in that way. No one's going to like that attitude, and it's not going to make them want to answer your question, okay? Please be constructive. Now, that's not one of my chatters. Like, they're not one of my subscribers, but they have shown up in here, and I've seen them in a lot of VTuber chats. Also, don't try to be the champion of VTubers. Like, it's okay. Ask it nicely. Okay? That's my advice. That's my advice. And then this was the section, so Dan asked me about the tech behind it, and I like the way he said it. He's like, I see it as their levels, right? PNG tuber, then 2D, then 3D, as far as how difficult the tech is or what amount of stuff you need to get into and understand to be able to do it. I will say, I think 3D is so much more accessible than it used to be, to the point where it's just as easy as 2D at this point. The difference is that you have to wear more stuff, more hardware sometimes to do 3D. But at the same time, you can use a 3D model and use like Warudo or VC Face or something like that, and just move the head and use a cell phone the same way VTube Studio for a 2D VTuber would work. So you can still have the 3D model, and maybe you're not moving your full body, but you can use it with the same amount of hardware as a 2D model. So that's cool. That's cool. It makes it very accessible. It wasn't that accessible before. It was a little awkward, but yeah. The models tend to be cheaper for 3D. Um, mm, yes and no. A custom model is similar. I'd say 3D on average is a little cheaper. The thing is, you have to buy all the hardware, so the total cost of what you're spending to be able to do that and stream with it tends to be a lot. But just the model itself, assuming someone handed you all the equipment and you didn't need to buy it, the 3D models are on average a little bit cheaper. But that's assuming it's custom. 3D models tend to be very cheap because a lot of them that are not custom and something that you just mildly customize yourself a little bit with a few options, like a character creator, those are very available. They are everywhere, mostly because of VRChat. So that makes 3D overall a bit less costly to get into and still have something that feels customized, but it's not fully custom made top to bottom, if that makes sense. So yeah, those are pretty damn accessible. I'm looking through more questions here. When I was describing how tracking works a little bit, some people were like, someone says, wow, that's harder than streaming with a face cam. And I agree. I agree. I agree. You have to do things to be expressive. So when you're just moving around and moving your face, your model, depending on how well it's rigged, will just move with your face, and that's okay. But if I wanted to do a different type of expression that isn't normally on here, I have to press a button. I have to manage that. I have to say a thing and then think to myself, while I'm saying these words, I should press this button and operate it like a prop. And most people forget to do that and they don't get the most out of their VTuber model. But it's more to manage, it's more to think about. And when you're gaming and something scary happens and you're playing the game and you're talking to your chat and your hands are on the controller, you're not likely to take your hand off the controller and press the make me look scared button, right? There are people that do that and they are very talented because that it takes a lot of effort to split off a part of your brain to remember to do that, right? That's tough. I've heard people use foot pedals for those types of controls. I have a foot pedal to be able to do things like that. Even then, it's the mental part that's difficult, remembering to even do it. Henya's good at that. Henya does it, but she uses just like 2 toggles and usually in slower games. And that's really good. That's effective, right? Because she's not constantly managing it, but she's doing a little bit of that. And it's noticed, right? It's noticed and appreciated. How often is your face sore from all that? I mean, I don't have to move my face in any sort of cartoonish way to do like this. I just do this IRL and it's not hard. There are some VTubers that have made videos talking about how they have to overperform so much to make their model look good. And I kind of think with modern rigging, you don't have to do that anymore, to be honest. I really don't think you do. I think if you do that, you can give it a little more life. But, you don't have to. You really don't have to. That's just if you're trying to look like a cartoon. If you never started streaming, what job would you have done? Said you probably weren't there earlier, but I was in a tech job and I worked in tech for many years before streaming, and I would have stayed in that actually and not become a streamer, except my health failed me very badly at some point. TLDR, got cancer, didn't die though, but during that time stopped working and just went full-time streaming. If it weren't for that, I would still be working in tech. To be honest. Yeah, now I have 1 ball. I have 1 ball and I'm a streamer. Everything went terribly, to be honest. If we really look back at it and we really think. Ooh, this is a good question that someone had. They said, am I allowed to use a public domain character such as Sherlock Holmes, Popeye, or Conan the Barbarian as my VTuber avatar? If it's public domain, yes. Yes, you can. Actually, you can. If it is public domain, yes. There is one. There are multiple. There are multiple. I'm gonna be Mickey Mouse. Yeah, when, when he's in public domain officially, you can just be him. It's true. It's completely true. So, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, where's the Steamboat Willie VTuber?
Did your tech job require you to travel a lot?
Yes. Yes, it did. Not always, on and off, on and off. It depended on what I was doing at the time. I would say in most recent years, not so much, but yeah. At times, yes. Certainly not during COVID era. But yeah, if you want to do public domain, you can do that. That's very much so allowed. Someone said, so the future is fully 3D VTuber models, a ring of tracking cameras to capture the motion. I think tech-wise, the future is 3D, but I think realistically, most people are not going to make the money needed to have camera setups. Even my 3D tracking suit is not camera-based. That is an accelerometer-based thing. It's a really, really good one, but none of it is camera-based, because if I wanted to set that up in here, that would be so much money. The cameras, you need a lot of them, and it's like at least $3,000, often $6,000 each. No thank you. No thank you. Even if I had the money, I still wouldn't want to do it out of principle, because I mostly stream in 2D and I just don't have it in me. I can't rationalize it. Yeah, they are that expensive. There are cheaper versions of that, but they don't work very well, so people just don't. They skip those usually. Yeah, they're terrible. That's why a lot of, when you see a 3D VTuber concert and you see some VTubers having interacted with each other in real space in 3D together, it tends to only be big corpos that do that. And it's because they rent out a studio to throw people in with that kind of camera setup. Some, one or two corpos have their own studio, but usually it's a studio that anyone doing CG work can rent out. And that is just it. That is just it. Any software solutions? No, because something has to track you. Something has to track your body. It has to be cameras, or it has to be accelerometers, or something similar. Some sort of tracker with a base station, like a Vive tracker. It has to be something like that, no matter what. And yes, there are software licenses. Yeah, my suit, I pay for a license for it. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's so expensive. But I do think, I do think overall 3D is the future in that kind of way, with the types of content you can do by being able to move your whole body. I just think most people won't have access to it. I don't foresee it getting that much cheaper. For sure. Someone asked, how much is a model? Any amount. If it's custom, let's assume it's a fully custom made one. It could be $500 if it's a like chibi one. It's a simpler style. It doesn't really have much on it. It could even be $150. My first ever model was $250. And that is art and rigging included. That is a fully usable model, all drawn and rigged by one person. At the end of the day, that model carried me for a very long time. And I think I used it. I think I was a 1K Andy. I think I had over 1,000 average viewers and I was still using that model. That was $250. You really don't need an expensive model to stream. You really, really, really do not. If anything, I think the more simple it is, the more cartoony it is, the more charm it has at times. There's something really funny about it. There's something really, really, really funny about it. And I think it's a good thing, personally. I think people should go for it. One person said, I do wonder if you would need a higher power PC for 3D VTubers. Yes. Yes, it's terrible. One of the reasons I don't do 3D as often, or not when playing certain games, is because running a game and running OBS, running the stream, and running the 3D model is a lot. It's a lot on my computer. and it can just barely handle it depending on what game we're playing. So once I have a second PC and I do a 2 PC setup, I will be able to deal with that a bit more, and it won't be an issue, but you know, I use it sparingly. It's possible, but yeah, it's just a lot on it. Does VTubing use the GPU or CPU more? It depends on what program you're using, completely. It just depends on how it's optimized. Often it's GPU, but for 2D, it's a mix. It's heavy on CPU and GPU, to be honest. Running all these processes quickly, a lot of it is CPU. Need more Twitch events with VTubers like the one Mousy did, this TwitchCon? Yeah, I mean, I ran a panel with Haruka that was huge, actually, huge. I have some things that I want to do. I don't know if they'll be possible, but I have more events that I'm trying to do, like IRL stuff. For sure. Why not just have 2 graphics cards instead of 2 PCs? These programs, it is very hard to get them to do that. To use 2. Also, that's just straight up like not possible in a lot of cases. What are PC specs? I don't remember all of them. I am running a 3080 Ti. Basically, whatever was top of the line in late 2021, almost 2022, when I built this one, that's what I got. Whatever was best at that time. So it was before the 40 series came out. Everyone asking Dan to do a flip. I want to get Dan back in his VTuber model. I do want to see it again. For those with lower art skills, what are ways we can improve our models? Hire someone. Hire someone. Spend more time on it. Go slowly and practice. I mean, either be a better artist or pay someone who is. Use something that you made that you think is terrible because you're not a good artist, and then over time have someone else do it for you. That is it. Yeah, practice or pay. There's no way around that. No way around that. Stuff can have charm. Yeah, I think if you have a model that's poorly drawn, it's MS Paint, and it looks terrible, if you lean into it, it can be really funny. It actually can be better that way than something that you tried to do well on, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I drew all the emotes on my on my alt channel. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful. All right. Yeah, like that one. Not Gee for smile. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let me see. We were talking about cons and how they can integrate people. I got asked the question about how could we better integrate VTubers into the overall streaming community, because specifically the way we miss out is that for those of us that don't show our faces, for those of us that don't go to events, we don't physically go anywhere, that makes it really hard for us to meet people, because a lot of ways that streamers network with each other is they go to events. TwitchCon is huge. They all go to it and they meet each other there. And then they decide at some point, okay, let's go and, you know, collab on this thing. Oh, I have this idea for this thing, whatever. They're doing this over dinner, they're hanging out, they're getting drinks together, etc. VTubers who don't go to events like myself don't have that. Never offered that opportunity. Never get to network with those people. Would never meet these people that are in wildly different communities. Right? That's just tough. It's a lot that you miss out on. So my question to them was kind of what could be done there? Is there any way that Twitch can help with fostering that? And they were talking about like more ways to integrate them into cons. And they were showing a lot of the imagery of they were doing panels and things. So for the viewer perspective, doing panels that people can just happen in on those sorts of things and watch them. We were talking about, I mentioned that VShojo has the robot that we can ride around on. So we can get on an iPad and drive around and say hi to people, but it's not real networking. It's just saying hi, right? So I just like to see if there are more almost like mixers and industry parties and things that they find ways to integrate VTubers into personally. Siren mentioned they went out for dinner in EU and had some creepy guy following them. Yeah, I would say because I mean there are VTubers that absolutely do go to events and show their faces and stuff. Some of them don't show their face; they just wear a mask, but they're still okay with people knowing it's them at an event. They just put a face mask on, right? Not even full covering, just like the mouth or something, right? Um, because there's something unknown or it feels a little special, they have a lot of issues with people following them around and getting weird, like getting really weird about it. They have a lot of issues with this because it's the taboo. Like anything that's considered taboo, people get morbidly curious about, and most people are normal enough to know that they shouldn't do that. But there are people that absolutely, do the opposite, and it's a big safety thing. It's a big concern. Um, there's not much you can do about it. The answer is just don't go to those events if you don't want that to have a chance of that happening, or find ways to remain completely anonymous. Don't take pictures of yourself and just wear a mask and go, oh, it's fine. They will notice you have some mole somewhere on your body and then see it IRL and go, that's the mole that she has on her left foot. Like straight up, they will do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the answer is just don't even do it at all if you don't want a chance of that happening. It's just how it is. Do you think that's one of the reasons some VTubers started doing IRL stuff? Oh, the networking? Yeah. A lot of VTubers that started doing IRL stuff, it's because they've realized that they can't network with people. Not that they can't. They have a hard time networking with people. They're missing out on opportunities. And they said, what do I care more? Being able to meet these friends in person and have these opportunities, or remaining completely anonymous? And a lot of them said, I think I care more about being able to network. Right? And that's what they did. They just did that. They have to give up something. Me, yeah, you said your network of people you know is still relatively big. My network is huge because I'm just really good at that. Plain and simple. That's something I'm really good at, doing that over the internet, over this space. I make friends with people very easily. I meet new people very easily. I have a lot of friends that vouch for me and tell other people, yeah, she's cool, she's fine, and that has always worked out. I'm just a chill guy, and not to brag, but I don't cause problems. So, that's a big factor. I don't cause problems. I'm just a chill guy. So a lot of my friends will be like, yeah, you can hang out with this person. She's not going to be a weirdo. Straight up. And my network is large. But also, I mean that literally. I am just a chill guy. Meaning I don't get nervous talking to new people, and a lot of VTubers that want to hide their face, they want to do it for safety, they want to do it because of social anxiety. They're not the kinds of people to be very extroverted, to go out and talk to new people, to just message someone out of the blue and go, you want to play this game? Whereas I will. So, whereas if you put them somewhere IRL and they're sitting next to someone and they kind of have no choice to talk to people, then they'll do well in that environment, right? So they miss out by not going to events. But for me, where I have no problem just poking people, I'm okay without it. So me asking that question was kind of not for me, but for a lot of other VTubers that I know are very anxious. Is there a particular reason why you don't go to events? Safety. Safety. I don't want people doing unsafe shit. I don't want people knowing who my family members are, bothering them. I don't want any of that. Any of that. I don't want a chance of that. That's really the big thing. So if that were not an issue at all, maybe things would be different, but that will always be a potential issue, so no thanks. But I also think a big factor of it for me is just, I think the immersion is fun. I think for me, that's a plus of VTubing, right? Is that you are this thing, you are this character for all intents and purposes. And I think the immersion keeps that the way it is. I like it. So I'm just more of a purist in that way, right? Not that I think doing it in any other way is bad, but I prefer to do it that way. So, yeah, I like it. I don't know. It's like when you watch Aladdin and you hear the parrot Iago and you're like, he's so funny with his funny parrot voice, and then you see what Gilbert Gottfried looks like and you're like, well, now I can't unsee it. Right? It's the same thing. I just think it's better. Like, I don't look up what voice actors look like. I do not, if I can avoid it. Right? I know they're real people. I know he's not literally a parrot IRL. That's okay. But I don't look them up because the immersion is part of my enjoyment, personally. So that's why, as a VTuber, I do like when VTubers do that too. It's okay if they don't, but, I like doing that. Poisonally. Watched Critical Role once, and now I see Matthew Mercer in every game ever. I know. That's what I'm saying. It's really, really hard to unsee it. So I think for VTubing, yeah. Yeah, I prefer to just keep that. Keep that on the side. Keep that on the side. Numi got noticed because of her laugh, but the dude was chill. Yeah, as long as the person's nice about it, it's not so bad, but like feels bad, right? People will be like, oh, no one knows what I look like anyway, so I'll just go out and it'll be fine. But they'll just say a couple words and someone will be like, oh my god, that's them. That's just how it is. That's how it is. Oh yeah, you brought up Cinder cosplays as her model. Yeah, and she's someone who really doesn't mind showing herself as much. I think she still wears a mask, so you don't see like her nose, her mouth, the bottom of her face, but you see like her eyes and everything else about her physically, right? I'm pretty sure. And she'll just cosplay as herself. I saw Lily because I was driving around on the robot, and she was also just wearing a face mask, and she did a meet and greet at a booth at some point at one TwitchCon, and I was riding around on the robot, and I drove up to her and was like, hey, and I went to her meet and greet to say hi on the robot. That was the first time I'd ever seen her face, was just at that meet and greet on the robot. It was funny. I said, as a viewer, I noticed even though some streamers are massive here on Twitch, they barely get any views on YouTube. One thing I noticed and found interesting was how Ludwig and Connor, for example, turned streams into successful videos. Is this a viable strategy for growth? It's hard to say because I think a lot of the people that do well like that, they're old guard. They've been doing that for a long time. And it's hard to copy a strategy from someone who's been doing it for a long time. Right? I think for growth, thing is they've already grown. What grows people, in my opinion, are things that go viral or event-based things. So remember I talked about my stream before where I said instead of just doing a Wind Waker playthrough, I did one with crowd control. If I did that on stream, and again, there's a challenge to it, there's a twist, it's not just another Wind Waker playthrough, and I took that and I made a video to put on YouTube. And it wasn't just a VOD, it was a highly edited thing, and it was like, here's, you know, my chat trolled me in my favorite game from the GameCube era, whatever I wanted to call it, and put that up there. That might work out, but it has to be something sensational. No one is going to find new people, going to YouTube to find new people who are just doing game playthroughs, let's plays, etc. They're not doing that. They're looking for something, one level of sensational beyond a playthrough. So I would say the stuff that they do, Connor's a good example of someone who does stuff that you can grow off of, right? He'll tier list things. He'll title his videos really well. The thumbnails will be really good. It's a lot of factors. The TLDR is anything can work if you execute it well enough, if I'm being honest. Literally anything can work if the execution is good and the title and thumbnail is good. So if I go to Connor's YouTube, 10 days ago, he posted a video that says, I have to beat Elden Ring with 0 deaths. I have to beat Elden Ring with 0 deaths. That is going to get recommended to people that don't normally watch him. That video is going to do well. Because that is something that anyone who likes Elden Ring might watch. Because, again, it's some sort of challenge-related thing, and the thumbnail looks a little more interesting as well. It kind of plays into that, and you're like, oh my god, what happens? Because on the thumbnail, it says on the left side, 0 deaths, and shows him standing there. And it says 38 deaths, and has a bunch of UI elements. So you go, 38 deaths, what happened? It makes you want to click. Right? That's what's going to make you grow. It's just sensationalize it a little bit. And don't lie, don't clickbait it. That's it. Anyone could post that video. And as long as they are interesting and their title is that good, similarly good, they'll be all right. But it's very hard to give advice on that sort of thing because, you know, Pirate Software is a great example. No one was really doing game dev Q&A because game dev Q&A is not a thing that works that well. But he was able to do it because his voice sounds nice and because he talked about, you know, being an ex-Blizzard employee 1,000 times. So because of that, you know, people took interest. But it's the voice and the perceived credentials that made it work for him. Not that that type of content was what everyone's looking for. Does that make sense? That's what made people pick up on it. You know, do you remember ever learning about logos, ethos, and pathos? Do you remember learning about that? Look it up if you haven't. Ethos and pathos. You need both of those to be a good streamer. It's the same way you need both of those to write well, okay? Ethos is your credentials. Why should someone believe you or trust in what you say? Make sure that is seen and understood. Pathos, appeal to people's emotions. Make them feel something. That's how you act during stream, whatever. You make them laugh, you make them smile, you make them cry, whatever it is, okay? You need those two things to do well as a content creator. And if you think about it like that, you boil it down to how do you be a good writer in base creating, you know, the purest of content, which is just written word, right? Think of it like that. Don't get into specifics. Think about how you can deliver those things to people, how you can make them understand why they should believe that you're good at this thing. Let's say you're trying to do a challenge run of Elden Ring and you're like, oh, I'm good at it though. You can't just say that. You have to show them that you're good at it, etc., etc. Whatever you're trying to do on stream, you have to show that. There you go. It really is that vague. It really, really, really is that vague. And then you have to be good at YouTube titles and thumbnails. Done. I think if you try to overcook beyond that and get very specific, you're going to waste your time on specific ideas instead of just doing something vague and finding a niche that you can slowly filter into. I love Ethos. He makes great redstone videos. Love that guy. He's so great. Yep. Yep. Some of these questions that people were asking in this chat were very like, I want to be a VTuber, but I don't know how. How do I do it? It's so simple. I feel like even if I made 100 videos about how to do it, people would keep asking that question. If I made a bunch of written guides on how to do it, people would keep asking that question in Twitch chat. I just think there's no way to get people to stop asking that question ever. Yeah, the answer is Google it. That's why content based around is evergreen. Exactly. Exactly. Off topic of Vtuber dropped a new teaser. Ooh, did they? Which one is it? Let me see. Thank you for saying that. They did. A person blinks in their teacups and they drink from the teacup. It's the same table as before, I think. And then they look, oh no, it's a different table? I don't know. They look up and there's a street outside and it's raining. Ooh. I'll post it in the chat. New Fee Shoujo teaser. Ooh. Wowee. Wowee. I'm typing that as my Twitter reply. Wow. It's a tea set, 2 candles lit, a gun, some sunglasses. Nice, nice. Wowee. Headphone volume warning. Oh yeah, if you click on the link, it'll autoplay. Sorry about that. Sorry. The trailers have been kind of loud. Twitter's like that. The loudest a video can play, first of all, it always starts at max volume, but the loudest they can be is really loud. Really loud. And you know what? Can't do a damn thing about it. It's just gonna be loud. You have to turn it down. You like trailers like this? Me too. I like the hype cycle and everything. It's fun. One of my favorite parts of planning an outfit debut or a new model debut or whatever I'm doing, is I like doing the teasers and the planning of them, deciding how we want to roll that out. That's my favorite. Also, yeah, don't speculate in the chat on who it is or anything like that. We'll just delete all of them. No speculation, okay? Just enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Yeah, or I'll delete the whole chat. There a date for when it happens? I don't think anything has been announced yet. I'm pretty sure the answer to that, oh, it is loud, is no. I don't think they've said anything. But I know what
Hey,
it's going to
Giga,
be.
congratulations, by the way, on being the
Thank you.
newest VTuber in the V-Shoujo lineup.
Thanks, man. Back to you. Sorry, thank you for that sub. Thank you. But yeah, no speculation in my chat because I don't want to have to deal with moderating it. And then I have to click the button. And then if I like click no on some but not on others because I miss it or a mod misses it, then people are gonna read into it and they're gonna be like, oh my god, they deleted this but not that, and then they get like crazy about it. So no, thank you. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. How do you retain viewership if something you make happens to get tons of eyes on it, but you're like a one-digit Andy yourself? Consistently be entertaining. Figure out why people liked watching that one thing. Here's the thing. Did it get tons of eyes on it because it was good? And your content is good? Or did it get a ton of eyes on it because it just got shared in a place that happened to get click-throughs? Like, are these people actually watching and liking this thing and commenting and engaging? Let's say it's a YouTube short. And they're loving it and they're like, I like this content. Then you have to consistently keep going. You make another short immediately that is similar, that has the same vibe, that's just as well made. You try to do maybe a stream that is related to that kind of conversation or content if you can, something like that. If you're not consistent, because what people do is they see something good and they immediately look for more of it. They immediately look for more of it. If you don't have content going back before that one that went viral that is similar, they will go, oh, this was a one-off, and they will never look into you ever again. Right? So you have to always make content consistently that is about the kinds of things that you want to make it about. And if one is just a little better or just catches the algo for whatever reason and gets brought up, you know, in a lot of people's recommendations and seen, great. Now you have content going back that they can also watch. And that's wonderful. But yeah, if you make one thing that's good and then you don't have other stuff to follow or before that even, then whoops, right? Like you'll be a flash in the pan. So it's all consistency for sure. Heard that if you find something on YouTube that works, to keep hammering that nail as often as you can. Yep. Arguably the same with Twitch. But I do think Twitch, you do have to keep things a little fresher than YouTube. You do have to change it up a little more. It's a little harder with that. Especially if you do variety, if you're a variety streamer. If you're someone who plays all one game, you're a League streamer, you're Apex, Roblox, whatever it is, it's a little easier because people are just expecting gameplay of that thing to the point where they're going to say when you're not playing that game, why aren't you playing Apex anymore? You know, or whatever. So it depends on what you're going for. Want to try creepypasta reading? Some friends gaming together videos, but can't edit videos to save my life. It's not hard. It's not hard. You just have to sit down and learn. Either that or you have to pay someone for it, which when you're starting out, it's probably not viable. Don't overcook. Something people try to do is they try to make their videos really, really entertaining by over-editing them. But if the base content is good, you shouldn't have to over-edit much. That's just a bonus. So focus on when you record it being good to start with, to the point where all you have to do are make cuts. You don't have to do any fancy editing. If you feel like you have to like zhuzh it up a ton to make it interesting, then that means that the base content wasn't good enough. You should keep working on that to get it to the point where you don't have to do that extra work, you know? That's really how you should do it. That being said, if you can do great editing, hell yeah, it'll make it better, but try to get to the point where you don't need it, you know? Want to try subtitle edits? Oh, you can learn that. I promise you can learn that. It is not too hard, I promise. Hold on, I'm scanning for more questions. What do you think about this? Sakura in the Twitch chat earlier, you know, twitch.tv/Twitch chat earlier, said VTuber accessible pop-up meet and greet spaces with stationary iPads VTubers can remote into. As a thing we do at cons. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to do a setup that was like... Imagine it's set up like speed dating, right? Where a bunch of people sit at tables, and then the people, they're all sitting on one side. They're all sitting on the left side. And then the right side of the table is open. There are a bunch of open chairs. And then you have a bunch of people go through and talk to everyone, and they get a time limit. They do this for K-pop fan meetings, okay? They have a long table with 7 members of whatever group sitting there, and they have a single file line of fans, and they go one by one. You sit in front of the first member, you say hi, they sign a thing, you talk to them for a minute, then they move you down. Now you're in front of the second member, next person's in front of the first member, and they move everyone through on a time limit. I thought that would be really fun to do, but with VTubers on iPads. Okay, hear me out. You have us with a little microphone and a little maybe a little headset. Maybe the speakers are really good and we're just a little farther from each other. But yeah, it sounds like an idle meet and greet, exactly. And it's a short meet and greet where you move through a group of people. Instead of going to meet just one particular person, you stand in line and you just talk to all these people in a row. I think that would be really fun. Oh, that's how it worked already? No, they have one person. They have one person, they have a block of time that they're set up for, and they have a line just for them. I think it would be fun to do it where you get in line and you're meeting a bunch of VTubers, and it's a way to expose people to new VTubers. It's a way to get maybe a couple of meet and greets in one session, but it's a little shorter. You don't sit there and take your picture with them at the end or anything like that. You just sit there and talk for a little bit. Boom, 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 move them down the line. I thought it'd be fun. And it's really good for smaller VTubers, especially, who maybe don't have as big of a fan base, to the point where they can't get their own solo meet and greet at a con. They just can't get that because realistically only 20 people, maybe even 10 people will show up for them. Instead, if you have a bunch of smaller VTubers in a line, and each of them have their own set of 10 people that are there for them, all those people get onto that line just to talk to them, and they'll go down the line and get to talk to all of them anyway and get exposed to them. I just think that would be a nice way for them to market a little bit, for them to meet people, get the experience. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I'm trying to think of stuff that doesn't cater toward only big VTubers, because a lot of those event types, it requires you to have a fan base going there to see you. And when it comes to physical, in-person events like that, there aren't enough people physically going that a small creator is going to have a guarantee of like at least 20 people there knowing who they are, right? So I think that'd be fun. And maybe you throw in 1 or 2 larger VTubers in that line just to attract the people through. But, they see everyone. I thought it'd be cute. I could pitch it. I wouldn't pitch it to Dan. I would pitch it to, the TwitchCon staff. Whoever runs that, I would say, hey, can we do this? The remote in CNC mill to do the real-time signature. I would love to do those. They take a bit of time, and it might take a full 20 to 30 seconds in between each signing to, like, reset it. They're kind of annoying. So I would like to do it, but time-wise it might be difficult. Maybe, but we'll see. It'd be a cool experience. They can come prepared with 1 or 2 questions to ask the VTubers. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, everyone has to have a question or 2, and they go through. As long as they don't ignore the VTubers in the lineup they don't already know, that would get sad. People don't do that when they are seen. So if I'm watching you with a camera and you're being seen, people don't do that for the most part. That's very rare. People are more likely to do that in an online space because they're not being noticed as much, or they're not personally being noticed. But when you're physically there and I'm staring at you and I see you, people are much more cordial. Maybe they have less to say to me, but they have something. No matter what, they don't completely ignore. I mean, I've had that happen. Mel's had that happen. The 2 of us did a meet and greet together where the 2 of us were sitting there meeting people. So some of the people in the line were there for me and not her. Some of the people were there for her and not me, vice versa. Every single person that came up, if they had more to say to the one person, they'd still acknowledge the other every time. They'd be like, hey Mel, hey Giga, great to meet you guys, something. I had a question for Mel, and then they'd say this thing. Giga, I just wanted to let you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, nice meeting you both, right? Like, no matter what, everyone was really good like that. And I didn't feel ignored if someone, wanted to ask Mel more stuff. I'm just like, yep, that's a Mel fan. You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing to take negatively. They're there for the streamer they like, right? But also we both have really nice communities, so that probably factored in. Just saying. But yeah, I don't think that would be too much of an issue. But I would love to do something like the idea that I said, where it's like a idol fan meet, but also picture a VTuber cafe, an area where you can sit down and just hang out while you eat or drink something, refreshments. But at every table, there's an iPad with a VTuber. And they are there, sitting there for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever it is, just to entertain that table. And you rotate them in and out. I think that would be really fun. Really, really fun. They could even do it, I think every year they have an area where people can sit if they go and get a drink in the convention center or whatever. Because it's always, I always sit on the IRL streams next to the artist alley, or like attached to it. So imagine if they had a couple staff members standing around there and they just also ran iPads on those existing tables. It's something that they already have. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. It'd be cool. You've never been to a convention or anything like that? I think a lot of people haven't been. I think they're okay. I haven't gone in a while. They're cool to go to if their events are run well. Some of them are just a glorified friends hangout, and their events aren't that good. So it depends, man. It depends. All right, I'm skipping through. I'm seeing if there are any other unanswered questions that I wanted to get to. Someone said, could TwitchCon have separate meeting rooms with like a round table and several tablets where VTubers can speak to each other and hang out while having dinner, just like non-VTubers would have done? The audio would be horrible. Why not just do a Discord call? We already do that, actually. We hang out with each other, and sometimes on the Discord call, we get our models out. So there's something to see when we talk to each other. Sometimes we don't. That's just how we do it. Just watch 5 ads. Buy Twitch Turbo. This is an ad for Twitch Turbo. Found another hater. Someone said, could VTubers use parasocial as a tag for their channels? Okay, number one, some of them do, to be funny. I think it's really funny that people think there's any difference between how parasocial anyone is with any type of streamer. Like VTubing makes it more. If anything, VTubing separates the person from the person behind the model more. But when you're shown on Facecam, people start to really think they know you. Like, they really think they know you. Now, obviously, that happens with VTubers too sometimes. But people really think they know these streamers because they're seeing them, like, around. They're seeing their face and all that, whereas the VTuber has more of a separation from their audience. So there's a little more of a barrier of that person because they're looking at a character all the time. They just have this reminder in front of them. Like, I don't really know them like that. Like, I'm not their friend like that, you know? But then with Facecam streamers, they tend to have more issues with people actually thinking that they are friends. And, yeah, it happens with all public figures. It's true. It's true. If we're just talking in the streamer sphere, yeah, it happens. It happens. But, yeah, that's everywhere. It's not a VTuber thing. 100%. There are more VTubers that maybe lead into certain types of kayfabe around that, but I think it's really obvious that it's kayfabe. Personally. I think it's really obvious. You don't even know what Zen's voice sounds like. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's true. How do you create a sturdy foundation for creating a healthy community? Weed out bad people fast. My biggest advice is, hi Spooky, don't get used to, or don't get in that headspace when you're a small creator of being like, you know, I've got this guy in my chat and I don't love his vibes, but I don't want to ban him because then I'm just removing someone from my chat. You know, then I'm losing one of my 10 viewers. Ban him now. Okay? When someone's vibes aren't right for what you want, they're not good for your community, remove them immediately and don't fall into that trap. Because yes, every viewer counts. Every person is an entire person and they're watching you and that's valuable. Yes. But if their vibes aren't good, Then maybe the 11th chatter comes in and is lurking for a bit. They see that 10th guy acting weird, and they go, I don't think I want to be in this community because that's the vibe here. And they leave. That 11th person never has the chance to join, you know? I find it's just bad. It never works out long term how you want it to. So just don't let yourself fall into that. And just get rid of them quickly. As someone who goes around a lot in smaller VTubers chats, I wish more people took that advice. I say it because I was a small creator too for a long while. And a lot of my friends were and still are small creators. And I've always seen a huge amount of that. So I'll always keep saying it because it's still so prevalent. You just pull out the ray gun and zap them. Get them out of there. You know? And you'll be left with the good ones. Also, treat your community how you want to be treated. Plain and simple. If you're acting like an asshole, they're going to think they can be an asshole to you. Set boundaries that you're cool with. That's it. Do that and be consistent. That's all. It's really all you got to do. And hang out in your Discord a lot, I would say. Understand that, streaming is about hanging out. People are here because they just want to spend some time. They're not always here for the most sensationalized thing. Yes, if you do an event, they are. But for the most point, they're just here to hang out. So just hang out, You can hold your chat at arm's length because you don't want them to get too parasocial or whatever. That's fine. But don't be fucking rude to them. Don't treat them as if they're actually like lesser or something like that. Just hang out with them as people because you're all people. That's really all you gotta do. And if you stay consistent with it, you'll be fine. Yeah, streamers who build their entire persona off letting chat bully them are bound to suffer because there's always going to be people who take it too far. Exactly. If 80% of people are fine, but 20% of them take it too far, you're never going to get rid of that 20% because you didn't draw the line close enough to yourself, right? It's the same thing Dan was talking about earlier when he was talking about rules with outfits and things. When you draw a line, a specific line, all these people go right up to it, and a good number of them will spill over it every time. So that means then you need to draw that line a little further back when it comes to things like community moderation. You need to draw that line a couple inches further than where you think it realistically should be so that the spillover isn't too far over. You know what I mean? It just has to be that way in practice. So, and if you do that, things will be solid. You'll have nice people. If someone is nice in your chat, you really like them, you really like the things they say, tell them that, point it out. Read their messages out loud a lot more so they feel seen and heard, Make sure they're aware that they're very welcome there. Etc., etc. Vibes-based rulings. Yeah, I have a catch-all rule that's like, hey, if we don't like your vibes, we can just get rid of you. Plain and simple. Get rid of the rules lawyers a little bit. If I just think your vibes stank and are not good for my community and make everyone uncomfortable, I don't need to point to a specific rule. I can just be like, hey, yeah, we really didn't like your energy. Goodbye. It absolves you from having to sit there and explain every little thing. And it keeps it simple. But give people a chance. Don't see one message and be like, I hate this guy, and prune him. Give them a bit more of a chance to say a few things at least. Or rectify it. Been streaming for a long time. I think 4 years. Still don't have any watchers. Oh, viewers. And no one talking. Is this bad or keep going? I mean, what do you want out of streaming? If you're doing it for fun, then keep doing it. If you're doing it because you want to grow, then you have to figure out why do you want to grow? Do you need that validation from people watching? Is it because you want it to make it a job? Is that the dream? Think about that. If you're just doing it because it's just a hobby, then don't think about that. Don't worry about that. Just stream. That's it. Straight up, don't worry about it. And if streaming to no one is not fun, just play games with friends, like hang out in Discord and stuff. You don't need to be live, right? Yeah, figure out your motivations. Exactly. Now, if you're like, I want to make it big, that's rough because very few people will ever make it through. So don't expect anything. Set no expectations for yourself. Just do it. Just have fun with it. If you're like, I want to make it my job, same answer. You know, very few people will be able to do that. Good luck, it's all chance. It's not all chance. No, it's skill with a small amount of chance sprinkled on top. The thing is, little opportunities will hit people. And if they're not skilled enough for that opportunity to hit them and then everyone to notice them and go, wow, this guy's skilled, I like his streams, then it doesn't matter. That opportunity will hit you. That luck will hit you. And people will be like, this guy sucks. And they won't watch you. Right? You still have to be good at it. There's no, oh, if I just do it more, it'll work kind of thing. For sure. People don't realize that having 50 viewers is top 1% streamers. Yeah, we talked about this the other day. Don't look at metrics like that. And be like, oh my god, top 1%. I really wish there were a report that took having 5 viewers plus as the bucket of people that they then do that analysis on. I hate that they count all the people with 1 viewer or even like 0 sometimes. And I also wish they would do number of hours streamed to also kind of cull that data set a bit before doing that. That's what I would like. That's what I would like. You're still like waiting on Twitch to implement viewers leaving per minute as a dashboard metric. The depression metric. Could you imagine if they put an actual rate of churn on there? Oh, dude. New subscribers versus subscribers leaving and unsubscribing, so you get a proper number for churn. A rate. That would make people so upset. So upset. When they become aware of how much of a revolving door it is. Ooh. No. We don't need that. We don't need that. Not at all. You would love that? I would love that. I think most people would just become depressed. I don't think it would help them. What would they do? What would they change with that metric? You know what I mean? What would they do? Nothing. You think about a current top streamer who is live every day to no viewers for an entire year. You have to be baseline good already. You have to use that time where no one's watching you and be like, perfect. Now I can practice and be bad at this without anyone noticing that I'm bad at this. Right? You stream to no one and just try to get good at streaming. Watch your VODs back, watch clips back, and feel, you know, decide if you felt like that was good or not. What can I improve upon? Get better at it regardless of who's watching, and then hope that people happen upon you after you've gotten better. That's what you want to hope for. You know what I mean? A lot of people do sub just for a month or two at a time. Yeah, I think you couldn't grab that metric easily. Would you say content quality and vibe curating is the key to having healthy and stable growth as a streamer? I mean, yeah, that's like the majority of it. What I think is, if you want to just be a successful streamer, you want to care about your Twitch channel, I think the vibe curating is the biggest, the number one most important thing. Content quality is up there, but there are a lot of streamers who just sit around and hang out, and no offense to them, they do fuck all, but the vibes of their chat and their community are great, and their own vibes when hanging out are good, and that's it. That's it. They don't do anything special. They just hang out, and everything's curated very well vibe-wise, okay? And everyone has a great time. Wonderful. Because again, people are on this platform just to hang out. Forcing. No. But, and then content quality is good too, because you'll need that to maybe have a clip go out somewhere, have someone click onto your stream and just like it within the first 10 seconds. That's good too. But I think to get people to stay, when you do get someone to stay for, you know, an extra minute, trying to get them to stay longer and come back for other streams, it's about the vibes, man. It's about the vibes. They're not going to join your Discord and use your Discord if the vibes in there suck, right? I think community is so important. That's why Twitch it feels very different as a platform to other platforms, because they focus more on community here than everything else. And everything else still gets focused on. It's just that the number one is community. And yeah. It's better to do that. Immaculate vibes in the Discord? I know. It's thanks to the mod team. I told them do this and they did it perfectly. Perfectly. Think you have no vibes? Well, get some. Watch people that have vibes that you like and see what you can absorb from that. You know, not direct copy, but what can you absorb? 10K viewers and they're just doing the Wordle and talking about hockey. Yup. Yup. That's what I'm saying. You watch a stream with less than 5 viewers when you're looking at a newly released game on Twitch. Not a lot of them are super fun. It's always possible to get follows that way. Do you mean for yourself or for them? If it's for yourself, if you ever came into my chat and were like, hey guys, I stream, by the way, can you follow? You don't say it directly, but you like imply that you stream really heavily. I would time you out. Personally. When people do that, I'm like, stop. When you don't have many chatters to bounce off of, how do you come up with topics to yap about? Do you revisit the same ones? I would just, the way to think of it is go watch an old Let's Play on YouTube. And if you're streaming to nobody, there's no one in your chat, there's no one talking, there's no one watching, then you do not stream. Okay, got it. Then what you do is you pretend you're filming a Let's Play. Okay, so if you have no chatters to bounce off of, fine, do a Let's Play. There are times where I would have 1,000 viewers and I'd be playing through a part of a game and no one would talk for a full minute in the chat because they're just watching me play the game. And I wouldn't look at my chat and go, oh no, no one's talking, they're unentertained, I don't know what to say. I'd look at the chat and I'd go, they're watching me play this. They're paying attention to what's happening on the screen. I'm going to talk out loud like I'm filming a Let's Play because they're here not to type but to watch. And that's what I would do. And then when I would sometimes turn to the chat and say something and be like, what do you think about blank? Suddenly they type, you know, it was obvious. Okay, they're just watching. So if you want to build that up and you know for a fact right now, you literally don't have viewers, just do it like a Let's Play because maybe you'll get no viewers during your stream, but maybe you can post your VODs on your YouTube and get a couple views on it as a Let's Play. You know what I'm saying? Like you could stream it on Twitch just to save the VOD so you don't have to store it on your computer and then push that to YouTube because there is a tool on Twitch to automatically publish a VOD to a YouTube channel. There you go. Some people don't care about how their stream does. They just use it as a VOD creating tool. You know what I mean? Instead of hitting record on OBS, they just hit start streaming. They let Twitch hold the video and then push it to YouTube. Know what I'm saying? So just, I would say to hold yourself accountable, make a VODs channel on YouTube, stream on Twitch, pretend that you're just making it for your VODs channel. And if someone chats in your stream, it's secondary. And that way you have something nice to push to that channel. There you go. And if you do that and someone hops in and there's no one chatting, but you're just talking to yourself and you're narrating what you're doing, they might chat because you're talking about something. There's something for them to say, you know? But yeah, that is the play. That is the play. That's how I did it. Because when I was tiny, I still started with some viewers. People showed up to my first ever stream and I was doing all right. There were days where I, did not even have 10 viewers. And there are days where I would have 20, 30 and no one would be talking. And that's okay because I just talked the whole time. It wasn't about interacting with them. If they didn't want to interact, it was just about making something they could watch. So, yeah. Yeah. I also saw a tool. I thought this was so funny. Someone made this a long time ago. Basically, they made a tool that puts a chat next to you and makes the chat look like it's reacting to you. So what would happen is it would read in your mic activity and it would just generate a bunch of random emotes and some chat messages. And that way, when you're streaming, you could mentally feel like you're being watched, but you're not. And you don't put it on your screen. Other people don't see it. It's just a thing to put next to you. I don't know if that service still exists, but you would put it next to yourself and it would give you that feeling, and seeing that motion would kind of quell the worry. So you wouldn't worry about it so much, you'd keep talking. Yeah, chat training wheels. I actually thought that was really cute because it's like an anxiety reduction tool. Not that you're trying to trick yourself into actually thinking you have viewers, and not that you put on screen so no one else sees it, But it just kept it moving so you feel like something's happening. I thought it was cool. I thought it was neat. You should sell shared chat services to new streamers. Oh my god, could you imagine? I've seen that where some people were like, I wonder if anyone would just let me pay them to do shared chat. Not that they're actually like offering money, but more like some people have mused about it. Like, I wonder if this is possible. I'm sure someone will min-max that. I bet. Tip I heard was to reflect on how you grab viewers' attention, how often you do it, considering 5-10 second attention spans. Oh yeah, no dead air. I keep talking. I just keep talking. I think that's the best thing you can do. It's better to stream for 1 hour and talk the whole time than it is to stream for 3 hours and be quiet for a lot of it. To be honest. Chat erupts into Om when nothing on your end happened. Yeah, that's what the tool would do. It would hear you speak, and it would wait for you to stop speaking, and then when you stop, it would have some reaction. But the reaction wouldn't always match up. So if you were like, I'm depressed, and then you pause, and it's like, okay, they finished a sentence, it would be like, Lamau. So it wasn't the best tool. But you're not supposed to read it. You're supposed to just let it be in your peripheral vision. Like, the creator of the tool, I remember, they were like, hey, I didn't make this a smart tool, okay? It's not there to listen to the words you're saying and respond positively or negatively in the right moment. It's just supposed to move. That's all it is. So don't count on it. And people were still, even with that disclaimer, they were complaining. They were like, I can't believe you made a thing that laughs at everything I say when I'm depressed. It was funny. It was a cool band-aid on the solution for sure. It was neat. It was neat. You always worry about creating too much dead air, so you try to keep talking. Yeah, just stream of consciousness. Hey, if you are playing a game, just narrate what you're doing. If you are playing a game and you're wondering about something, go, I wonder what this character something. Maybe it could be this, or maybe it could be that. Maybe the point, maybe the ending's going to be something like this. And just muse out loud. And that's it. There you go. There you go. It's pretty much a real chat. Honestly, yeah. Yeah. When you worked at a radio station, there was a red phone in the studio that the station manager would call if there was more than 2 or 3 seconds of dead air. I think the way I stream is I treat it like it's radio. Like that. Where I don't like leaving big gaps. The most you'll see is when I sip water or something. Right? And that's it. That's it. And I think... I think it's been good for me in building, but I think I need to calm down with it over time. I've been working on calming down with that and allowing some gaps, especially when I'm gaming. Because if I'm gaming and there's something happening on the screen, I don't need to be talking. There's something to watch, right? It doesn't need to be sound in your ears all the time. It could be visuals in your eyes, maybe. There just needs to be something sensory happening, but I'm so used to keeping the word count up that, you know, we should really be paying attention to what's on the screen, and I'm just like, the whole time, you know? So I've been working on that. Trying to get better at that. For sure. You do all the audio only? Yeah. There's a good number of people that do. A good number of them. I'm trying to see if there were any other questions that were unanswered that I wanted to answer. A lot of them are things that are just, like, not for me. Like, that's not a question for me at all. Oh, my cat is shifting. He's turning around. He's sitting in my chair behind me. Good boy. There we go. I still think about the time you said I can stop talking for a whole 5 minutes, and you did, and it felt like forever. I know. I don't remember what I was doing. I was playing a game. And we were talking about, someone was saying something about how much I talk, and they were like, I said, watch, I'm going to stop talking for 10 seconds. And I held for 10 seconds, and they were like, holy shit, that's forever. And then, yeah, sometime later, I was like, watch, we're going to do 5 minutes of not talking. And I just sat there and played a game for 5 minutes, and everyone was getting really concerned because they've never, never experienced me playing a game and not talking. The completely silent alt Balatro stream was uncanny. Yeah, that's when I was sick and I couldn't physically speak. So I just went on my alt channel and played Balatro, and it was essentially a screen share. I didn't say a damn thing. I had my mic turned off. It was so funny. Doing a wellness check on my Oshi because she went radio silent for 3 seconds. Me when I don't talk for 10 seconds. Is she dying? Is she okay? I get a lot of that. But I just like talking, man. And we've been sitting here for 3 hours and I've just been talking. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. Okay, I need to check something. I have a thing scheduled for tonight, but I think it might have been pushed back a little. Let me double check. Let me double check. I just want to keep my time frame in my head. My cat keeps shifting in this chair. He keeps turning around. He seems to think he's a lot smaller than he is. He's like he thinks he's 2 inches long, and he's a big cat. He's a very, very long boy. He's not fat either. He's just a long cat. Oh, my thing isn't until 9:30. Okay. Why did I think I had something tonight at 8? Do I have something tonight at 8? I have something tomorrow at 7. Why did I think that? I don't know. No, my meeting is at 9:30. Ghost meeting. Well, I will simply let it become 8 p.m. at some point and see if someone frantically messages me. Well, there's nothing on my calendar, so it must not be real. Because I love using my calendar. I love it. No, I have my, like, my weekly meeting with my manager in Vshoujo. I have that tonight at 9:30. Maybe it was that I was thinking. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, VTuber stand-up. It is. It literally is. I do stand up with my manager weekly. It moves around here and there. A lot of the time when I say, oh, I have to go to a meeting, it's that. And then we have other stand-ups for other projects. I think I told you guys a while back, I'm doing an outfit with another member of Vshoujo. And we're working on it. And we did a stand-up meeting on it, right? We did a stand-up meeting on it. And it was very nice to just go through and make a Figma board and lay everything out and be like, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and we need this, and you know. Normal stand-up, or are you doing like improv or crowd work? Yeah, we do crowd work on the managers. Full with props, Squid. Full with props. So true. So true. I kind of want to just do stand-up routines. I should start doing that. I should do my normal chatting streams, but I get into my 3D model and I hold a microphone and I walk back and forth a little bit. And then I need to maybe I'll get into a VC with some friends and pay them to just be my laugh track, right? I need the proper live audience. A regular laugh track won't be enough. I need to get a few people to do that. I think that'll be good. What's up with airline food? Yeah, exactly. Cosmo, most of your newer streams would have used the talk show background much yet, or is that special occasions? I haven't used it too much. Sometimes when chatting, I use the close-up of just the desk, but I'll use the full wide one more when I'm doing specific bits. That is the set for the show, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Dredd and Garrick in the laugh track. I can't stand. Well, I'll play GTA. Okay. I'll be my character Gigi on the GTA RP server. No pixel. And I'll be standing there. And my friend Dredd, who's playing his character, Delver, is standing next to me. And I'll tell a bad joke. I'll go, what's the deal with airline food? And he'll hear it, and he'll always delay it. He'll wait 2 seconds. They go, and And he has this like really good way of fake laughing to make you just feel like so it's just so bad. I think his fake laugh is one of the the worst fake laughs. It feels so pathetic. It's really good. It's really good. He's really good at that. We should get a laugh track of just him layered 100 times. Chatters only want one thing, the impressively rigged hat. You want the hat? You want the hat? We could do the hat. This hat took 10 years. 10 years. 500 billion years to make. I could leave it on if you want. I could. It's just I have to like lean up. It points down, you know what I mean? So I have to go, ooh, for you to be able to see my face. I like the hat though. I like the hat. I do. I do like it. Okay, let me see. I'm still looking on Discord really quick. I guess. I think I know what it is. My weekly Vshoujo meeting should have been a different day at 8 p.m. and then we moved it. So I remembered that we moved it to today, but I forgot that we moved the time back and thought in my head that it was still 8. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And that's why even now in my head I still feel very strongly about having something to do at 8 p.m. Eastern. Eastern, by the way. So 10 minutes. But I really don't think I do. I really don't think I do. It should be fine. Should be fine. Oh my god, another hour stream. Yeah. We have a little time. We do. It has like the new eye patch, but for both eyes. Well, that's the thing is I could put the patch on and then cover this other eye with the hat. And then I have no eyes. Right? It's great. You know, at one point I wanted a blindfold toggle just so I could repeatedly do the bit where I go, guys, look, I'm gonna play it blind, and I put the blindfold on. Just, guys, I'm reading chat with a blindfold on. It's crazy. I kind of wanted to get a blindfold toggle just to do that, just to be annoying. I still want it. I still want it. It would be fun. It'd be cool. With the power of money, anything is possible. It is, it is. We were going over all of the requirements for my OG outfit, my standard general class outfit being on this model just yesterday. So it will be so Zan, my artist who draws me, it's still the same base that Zan drew, but the outfit, this one was drawn by Zan. So Noro designed it, and Zan did the actual art for it. But my other artist who does a lot of stuff for my models, Janie Hero, isn't it Janie? He's gonna go ahead and do the actual outfit art. So I'm glad that's all approved and he's taking care of that. He's taking good care of that. I like the way Janie draws a lot of materials. The way he draws a lot of metals is really nice. So all the armor bits and everything, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. How long does an outfit take? Depends on the person, depends on the artist. Both of my artists are actually pretty fast. They can draw an entire outfit within, I'd say if we're not making a lot of changes, if they have a design to go off of, they're not designing it, and they're just making it exist on the model, doing all that art for it, they could do it in a couple weeks. I asked them to do it, and within a month, it's done. I'd love to see the medal. You will, you will. They do have socials on this page. If you scroll down to my credits, you can just click on the credits panel there. But yeah, so I have Janie did some support on this one, so Zan drew all the base, but not the toggles and things, or not some of the toggles. So things like this arm, this hand. She did some of that. But then there were some bits that needed to be changed, and Janie did that, for example. So, any extra support, anything that I didn't have, the ponytail, for example, that was Janie in the back there, that kind of stuff. So, Janie's just really good, and he's good at matching styles and things. So I'm gonna have him continue to support whenever I need an outfit, but Zan's not available for it because Zan's like in school. She's in school, and I can't take up all of her time. So she did the base for me, and then yeah, from there Janie's gonna do a lot of the outfits and stuff. It'll be nice. It'll be really, really nice. The next outfit that I put out, Janie drew. And then he's doing the OG outfit. He's working on that right now. And then I have another one after that, and I think Janie will also do that one. I hope I'm not like killing him. I think it's a lot of work for him to be doing it, but he goes so fast, you know? He works so quickly. So we shall see. You have the bun hair for this? Yeah. Yeah. Like that. Like that. I do indeed. These artists are goated. I don't know how they do what they do. I'm amazed that they work so quickly sometimes. Some model artists take a really long time, but my particular artists have been speedy as hell. Also, I want to let you know I'm looking at the Discord right now. We officially went live with something new. Ooh, community thing. We now have a quest board. So if you go to the Discord, there's a category called the GEEGA Zone. You go to GEEGA Zone, there's a quest board. And what this is a way for little quests to be posted, and you can do them for points. So one of the way to earn faction points above is to just do your dailies in the chat. You can go into the Discord and you can put things in offerings, but we wanted to have some other things, almost like a bounty. And you know, offerings are predominantly art, and I want people who are maybe not artists to have more stuff that they can do. So that's really what it's going to be. And mods, any of the officers, they can go in there and post them. They can also give away points and all of that. So it doesn't all have to be me doing it. So it's a bit more, you know, community based. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, there are quests up right now. There are a bunch. So it's right below the offerings channel. One of them is making memes about the faction wars in general. You can do that. Hats for Boris. One of the best ones so far we have is the Glor Putty right there. We have the Glor Putty for Boris. Wow. So making him more hats would be good. I do have, I have the corn hat. We have Boris's corn hat. It's great. I have a creatures hat for when creatures win. Wow. So yeah, if you want to make him hats or accessories or outfits or whatever, we have a hat one right now. There's also one. Oh, we have our theater. We have our little theater, and Texas has one posted about that. Put images in the seats so that the theater looks like it has a bunch of people sitting in it for when we post the movie night stuff going on. That'll be cute. That'll be cute. Oh man, there's one of my favorites right now is this might be my favorite. Write a haiku about why your faction is the best or why the other factions suck. Each submission gets 10 points. If it's not a haiku, you lose points. Oh, how auspicious. We have some really, really good haikus that have come out of this chat. Really, really, really good. Yes, art channel is so cool. We have a lot of really cool stuff in the Discord, for sure. The offerings chat is not even just an art channel. That one is people just giving me anything, and then occasionally I do a stream where we go over it and I give them points or take away points if they're terrible, or if I don't like them, or if it's heresy. So, I'm just saying, if you're not in the Discord already, you should go in there, because we try to make a lot of extra stuff happen. And actually, in just a couple minutes, if you're in there, there's a workshop night as well. There's something almost every night going on. We even have a book club, okay? We have an active running book club that has been active for a while, which is unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. Book club is popping. It is popping. Our book club's kind of crazy. Dare I say, our book club fucks, all right? It's good. So, I'm just saying, if you like things like that, our community's really, really, really active with all that. But all right. Final questions before I go play a video game on this damn stream. Any last questions relating to VTubers, VTubing, the talks we had earlier on the patch notes, anything before we swap? What game? You'll find out. I don't even know myself. We'll figure it out. Waffles or pancakes? Irrelevant, not about the topic. Nice try. Is Steam Deck good for toggles? For operating your model? Toggles on your model? Is that what you're saying? You can actually use a controller to do that. You can hook up like an Xbox 360 controller. I would not use a Steam Deck for it. That's a lot to be running that device just for that. But I do know some people that will hook up a controller to hit toggles. That being said, you then can't use that controller when gaming, so it's kind of not worth it. I would say just get a Steam Deck. A Stream Deck, rather. When you said a Steam Deck, you can do it. I'm going to hope you typed that incorrectly and you meant Stream Deck, because if so, yeah, it has direct plugins for that, but, you know. What apps would you recommend for inventory management? Irrelevant question. Next. Can you tell me more about book club? It's a book club. It meets weekly. You read whatever amount of the book they asked you to read, usually a couple chapters, and then you meet and talk about it. Plain and simple. It was started last year around this time, a bit earlier than that. I think it's been going on for more than a year now. It's solid. Will you go back for more Twitch talks? If they invite me back, I will. Yeah. I really like that kind of content. I love it. I enjoy it, so I would. Would you recommend VTubing to someone who wants to stream but is self-conscious? Depends on what you're self-conscious about. If it's mostly physical, absolutely. If it's not mostly physical, if you're self-conscious about your voice, it's not going to help you. If you're self-conscious about your personality, it's not going to help you. But I don't think you should VTube to hide those things or try to hide them. I think it'll help you get practice getting out of them. If you're not used to your voice, but you have to use it because you're sitting there on stream, and maybe your voice is getting a bit stronger because you're speaking a lot, maybe you'll like it more later because you'll train it. If you are self-conscious about your personality, but you're sitting there streaming, putting yourself out there and realizing maybe you're not that bad, then it probably would help you. So, it's worth trying. You're concerned the kind of content you like to do, which is tabletop campaigns, wouldn't be good for Twitch or VTubing. There are plenty of people that do tabletop campaigns. I wouldn't say they're always highly watched if you're not acting and doing RP during them, all that kind of stuff. If you're just doing basic campaigns and you're focusing on the combat and you're like, yeah, roll for a dex check. All right, dex save. Okay. You know, it's the entertainment factor. Anything's possible if you do it well. I think VTubing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're VTubing or not. It's all the same. Like Warhammer 40k and whatnot. It still doesn't matter. You can do it. There are people that'll watch it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Book club started in 2023. Was it 2023? Oh my god. Maybe it was. Wow. It's been a hot minute then, huh? Interesting. You get used to your own voice after a while? You do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just keep doing it, and You'll get used to it. It'll be okay. You might not get completely used to hearing your own voice, but it'll certainly be better. For sure. Would you recommend someone who starts out focus on shorts or traditional YouTube videos in terms of using the time given most effectively? I would say do both. Put out more shorts and one occasional long form video. But for the most part, shorts. If you had to pick one, just because the time put in is going to pay better dividends. I do think building a subscriber base is better on long form, in my opinion. We started with Coraline. Oh, was that the first one that we read? Yeah. Wow, it has been a while. Okay. Okay. It's been a long time. Sorry for repeating. How do you get such great face tracking? I use VTube Studio and an iPhone, like most people do, to track. My model, however, is rigged by people who do great animation. All the credits are below if you click on the credits panel, but it's Iron Vertex. The tracking is not what's good. It's the animations that are good. Just hire someone who could do what you want. When you look at someone's portfolio, really look at how these animations come out and select someone who gives you the quality that you want. That's it. Plain and simple. It's just having a really good person doing the rigging. A good animator. You used to work in a call center as exposure therapy for hating your voice. Yeah, you get exposed to it enough and it what can you do? You get used to it. How'd you go about getting into collabs if you don't know anyone? Well, you have to get to know people. If you try to skip to the collab step, that can be a little awkward. You have to get to know people. Get involved in a community in some type of way and just keep being active. So, for example, if you stream and you join, now you have to be affiliate status, so that would, that's a thing. But if you join the Vtuber Creator Club that they're reopening apps to soon, if not already open, I want to say soon, then you can go in there, post a lot, be more active in that Discord, and maybe find people through it, for example. But you have to get to know people, and then you'll be able to collab with them, for the most part. When you have clips and longer form videos on 2 different channels, is there actually any benefit to having multiple channels? Yes, so when you're building a YouTube audience, a subscriber base, which subscribers on YouTube are the same as followers here, right? Just people clicking and going, yeah, show me more of this. The way to do that is to be consistent. So the videos on my main channel are either podcasty, or if it's gaming related, it's not about the game, it's about the people I'm with, and it's about the fact that we're collabing together. But it's mostly non-gaming content. And then if it's a solo video about me playing a game, it's more likely to be on the second channel, on the highlights channel. Because the people that want those 2 kinds of videos are very different audiences. If I put both on one channel, one of those sides would suffer, and I would not build a subscriber base of people that want that. But I want to do both types of content. So that's why I do that. The clips channel as well is better off being its own thing, because having short videos that aren't literal YouTube shorts, they're proper long form sized videos, having those next to like a 20-minute podcast, again, is not helping a subscriber base be built, because some people want to watch videos that are 40 minutes long. Some people want to watch things that are 5 minutes long, and they're just different crowds. So whenever you're catering to a different demographic for YouTube, you put that kind of content on its own channel. And it doesn't have to be by category of content, it just has to be by demographic. Will this group of people click on these videos? If you try to put a series on a channel and the answer is no, my existing demographic doesn't really want this, but there is a demographic for that, then you should put it on another channel and grow it. That's the way. Have you considered multi-streaming? I've considered it. I think it's really good and viable when you're a really big streamer. But if you are medium, somewhat large, small, I don't think it's worth it. Personally. I think you are better off pushing your VODs over there so your VODs get views, but I think live you should push everyone to one spot. While I don't think I'm a small streamer by any means, I still have room to grow. There's still a lot of room to grow. My follower count has like kind of gotten there, but I'm still not at 200K, whereas a lot of people with similar viewership to me have way more followers than I do. And if I want to gain that, if I want that to grow, I need to put my all into one channel. And splitting out viewers to another platform is probably what's going to happen if I do stuff on YouTube, rather than me just gaining more people there. I just don't think it would be worth it, personally. I don't think it'd be worth it. You've seen people talk about this issue when multi-streaming. They have 8-hour VODs next to 15-minute videos and they hate it. Well, they have the live tab. So when you multi-stream, your streams are saved separately. It's not saved as a normal long-form video, so it's really not a problem. And not anymore. It was for a little bit, but at this point, no. What's the purpose of an alt Twitch channel? To do things that you don't care about quality-wise. For example, I don't have dead air. I talk constantly when I'm streaming. Sometimes I want to play a game over there, and I don't want to talk much. We played Solar Ash the other day. I talked, but there were also periods of time where I said absolutely nothing while gaming, because I'm not trying to entertain. I'm just trying to hang out, purely. So I'll put stuff like that there. I also do a lot of GTA there. I used to play a lot of it on my main channel here, but at some point I just wanted to pivot back to variety. And I don't think that plus being a GTA streamer kind of live on the same channel very well. I think you kind of have to separate them out in some way. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to put that on the alt because I care about the, variety side more long term. So I moved that over. Why is Fillion calling me? What is this? I'm gonna say, no, I'm playing video games. No. Get the fuck out of here. I'm playing video games. I'm about to open a game. I would have considered it, but the moment I saw one chat hopper asking me to do it, I decided to dig in my heels. So the game she's playing. Oh, does she have to phone a friend? Is that why? Does she need a person to answer a question for her? She's fucked. You're fucked, buddy. She was just trying to phone the smartest VTuber on Twitch. Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be some sort of like sports question. And then I'm gonna be like, I don't know about that. It's gonna be pop culture. The one thing I just don't know about. I'm gonna type, you can't fool me. You can't fool me. I'm not. Oh, you can't get me. Nice try. It's very loud over there. Oh, I am sure. I am sure. Why did Toma post a picture of cabbage? What? It's red cabbage. What is this? Nice try. Every time they lose, they add one more VTuber and they can't leave until they win. I have a meeting in, a little over an hour, so. Maybe if it were earlier. Ain't no way I'm getting roped into that. Can't join if you even wanted to. Yeah, there's no way. That's gonna take like 5 hours, if I'm being honest. I just gotta win. But watch me join and then just sweep the answers for them. It'd be so lame. I think for the sake of content, they should be left to suffer. Personally. That's just my thought. I think they should be left to suffer. If I go in and answer all those questions, that's boring. when you ask Dad to be the boss for you. Exactly. Oh. Yeah, I don't want to ruin the content. I'll just get in there and answer like 80% of them, and then the ones I don't know someone will get, and then we beat it. They don't need that. We'll keep the content going, okay? Really, I'm doing them a favor, guys. I really am. I wanted to ask a question. Heroes of Hammerwatch just released Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, okay? The second one. Is it good? It's good. Fun? It's good. Okay. Is this something I should just play, or should I wait until I can grab a group of 4 to play it? Or do both? I assume I could just do both. If you liked one, you liked 2. I loved the first one, yeah. I did. I did indeed. Do both? Yeah. Who would I ask to play this? Who would be into this? I think I could make some friends play this, but I want them to want it. You know what I mean? I want them to want to play it. It's almost an exact copy of one with different art style and some new elements. Well, I like that, because I'm tired of people taking games that they made, making a second one, and totally changing them. I'm really tired of that. I would much prefer they just make another one. When it has the same title and it just says 2 next to it, I want that. You know? Yeah, like Darkest Dungeon 2. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. I could play that. I could wait for a group. Okay, I could get a group for it. Hear me out. Pinball Spire. 200 reviews on Steam. Very small game. Action adventure meets pinball in this one-of-a-kind Pinballvania adventure. What do you think? What do you think? Why don't I do that, and then for Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, I try to get a group. You said, oh no? Nah. It's a Pinballvania. We have to do it. We have to do it. Let's do that, since Heroes of Hammerwatch is, yeah, probably better with a group. The Steam page has a bald man playing it, so you kind of have to. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a Pinballvania.